At some point, Cooper Kupp has to stop falling down these draft boards, right? I mean, the drafts that we were getting in yesterday, we had some $350 drafts where Cooper Kupp went round 3. It seems a little bit wild at this point. I want to go through and I want to hop in some updated 2023 fantasy football drafts. We're going to be looking at Best Ball Mania here, the largest fantasy football tournament on the planet. $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first, $1 million for second. I got 16th place with the team in Best Ball Mania last year, but hopefully we get 15 places higher this year and we are able to take down that number one prize. Let's swing this around. What's going on? Okay, we get pick 3. Thank God. We're not going to be in a tough spot, at least in early round 2, beginning of middle part of round 2 on, okay, do I take Cooper Kupp? Do I not? No. We know we can go ahead. We can take either Jefferson, Chase, CMC, or Tyreek Hill here at pick 3. And then whatever happens, happens. Kupp makes it to us 22. Maybe if he makes it to us 27, then maybe we go ahead and pull the trigger. But Noah coming out says, happy Labor Day, my man. Thank you so much. And hopefully you have something fun to do with your family this weekend. Really appreciate you. You know that, my man. And Dairy Legend says, Mason loved the channel, became a flocker this year. Hell yes, my man. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you everybody for coming to hang out with us. I mean, we live streamed for 4 hours earlier today. And you better believe we are live out here again with another draft. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to get in one of these drafts with us, it's not too late. We're still doing this every single night. This is Underdog Fantasy. They are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the season. So I drafted 700 teams and I won $150,000 on Underdog last year. And now is the best time for you to be getting onto Underdog Fantasy because they have an exclusive, they have a site-wide Patrick Mahomes special, more than less than half a total yard week 1 against the Detroit Lions on Thursday night. Also, if you are new to Underdog, you're going to be getting a new customer offer with a mystery pick'em special. So 2 pick'ems the same week. I've never seen it before, but it gets crazier than that. I know. I mean, it sounds like I'm doing an infomercial, whatever the hell it is. But Josh Allen, more than less than half a passing yard as well. I've never seen Underdog have 2 special pick'ems the same week, let alone 3. You're only going to get all 3 with promo code FLOCK. Also with code FLOCK, we'll get a 100% deposit match up to $200. We'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find all our premium content. So please make sure you're taking advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. Link in the live chat description section, comment section. And Vader coming out says, hey, Mason, just drafted this team. Can I get your thoughts? It's a 10-team PPR league where we have Hurts, Jefferson, AJ, Brees, Sanders, Kincaid, Amari, Javonte, Akers, London, JSN, Robinson, Johnston, Charbonnet. Was not able to get a tight end. I mean, we're so damn good at wide receiver and quarterback, my man, and we're not even sacrificing too much at RB that I think we're fine. The thing is, if Kincaid is our tight end 1 in a 10-team league where we don't really know what the role is going to be at the beginning of the season, I like the upside, but you're going to have to roster another tight end, right? Because fundamentally, we don't know for sure if Kincaid's going to get the job done for us, my man. Love the team outside of that, though. Gucci Broomstick, my man, let me make you a moderator on this live stream. How the hell are you not a mod already? But saying, hey, Mason, just finished my 10-team redraft league. Ended up taking Jefferson, Addison, Madison. Is that too much invested in the Vikings team? And is it reasonable to start all of them in a given week? Oh, I don't think so at all in terms of it being too much. If you want to go through and make that big bet on the Minnesota Vikings, you can. I'll say don't start Addison at the beginning of the season, though. But ladies and gentlemen, we now have Cooper Kupp off the board at pick 9. So I was sitting here stressing, thinking like, oh my gosh, if Kupp makes it to us at 22, do I pull the trigger on Kupp? But we don't even have to think about that. Kupp here goes ahead of Stephon Diggs. He goes ahead of CeeDee Lamb, ahead of Chubb, ahead of Barkley. And yeah, let's see what we're going to get at 3 now, ladies and gentlemen. Marker Word, always out in the live streams with us, saying in a 14-team app PBR, took CMC pick 1, and then on the 2-3 turn, we went Waddle and Kupp. Hell yeah. We got Kupp like pick 29, pick 30, makes so much sense. Then JT, TJ, okay, I will say, I don't know if we love the JT pick, given that we'd already took Kupp and Swift and Kamara. How do you like? The Kamara pick's one step too far, my man. I'm fine taking like Kupp there, big 30, but once you follow it up with another player like Jonathan Taylor who's not going to play at the beginning of the season, there's no way in hell you can at that point then take someone like Alvin Kamara, right? No way in hell you can go through and take Alvin Kamara, someone that's not going to be playing at the beginning of the season either. At least that's how I would view it, my friend. Now, Derrick Henry off the board at 20. You have Adams goes 20. Derrick Henry off 21. So we will go ahead. We'll take Jalen Waddle 22. Y'all know generally in these underdog drafts, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to find running back versus wide receiver values later. Nick says, what wide receiver could I realistically trade Cooper Kupp for right now? I personally chase the highest ceiling possible in fantasy football drafts, so I'm a little bit riskier than the average person. I would rather have Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown over Cooper Kupp at the moment, but I would rather have Kupp over Waddle and Olave. I think a lot of other people would tell you to take Olave. I think a lot of other people would tell you to take Waddle. I'm still going to stand by Kupp over those guys, but I don't know. It's damn close, my man. It's damn close. Can everybody please spam the chat right now? Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Cooper Kupp or would you rather have Jalen Waddle? Cooper Kupp or Jalen Waddle, ladies and gentlemen. Kupp, Waddle, Kupp, Waddle. I mean, Kupp, Waddle, Kupp. Waddle, Kupp. Yeah, so it looks like this is about the price point. Looks like most people are in agreement with us there that they would have Cooper Kupp, but it is pretty damn close. ETN off the board, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Devonta Smith. What's funny is the tournament we won $100,000 with on Underdog last year, we actually had Christian McCaffrey and Devonta Smith paired up together. Now, we took CMC pick 3 in that tournament. We took Devonta Smith at the beginning of round 7, so a little bit of a different price tag. But generally, when we start with a running back out the gate like Christian McCaffrey, we are wanting to go ahead and follow it up with wide receivers. And if you look at how Underdog drafts have gone so far this offseason, will be a pretty unique combo with Waddle going in the middle of the second round in the majority of these, and Smith going at the end of the second round in the majority of them. But let's go through and find our next question. This one coming out from, I believe, DRB says, I drafted for my friend in a 12-team PBR 1 flex league. We have Fields, Barkley, Gibbs, Lamb, Keenan, Sanders, Ingram. And then on the bench, we have London, Chark, Rondale, Gibson, and Russ. I mean, I like the team overall. I'll say definitely Russell Wilson, not someone that's worth rostering if you already have Justin Fields. I mean, you're not really ever going to be in a position where you want to start Russ with a healthy Fields. You're just rostering like a handcuff quarterback. I mean, in reality, there are going to be a lot of waiver wire quarterback options that look like Russell Wilson. In case Fields were to go down, you can make a play there. So I'd look to drop Russ, pick up another running back off the waiver wire. Starting lineup looks great. Overcome says, scored a magic wide receiver trio, Jefferson, Wilson, and St. Oh my gosh, my man. That is freaking nuts. Like in the majority of these underdog drafts, Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown go at the 1-2 turn. Pair them up with Jefferson's like absurd. Derek, longtime member of the flock, coming out says, Lamar, Henry, Eckler, Allen, Olave, Pitts, James Cook, Khalil Herbert, Tyler Boyd, Burks, Gabe Davis, Sutton, Kareem Hunt. Just finished drafting. What do you think of this? Any moves to make? Glad to be back and hope you're doing well. No, my man, thank you so much for coming back to hang out with us again for another football season. Really happy to see that you are back. With this, I mean, in terms of moves that we can make, if we could package together like one of these depth wide receivers like Gabe Davis or Cortland Sutton with Kyle Pitts to go get Andrews, then hell yeah, let's do it. Outside of that, I mean, we have 2 running back ones. We have an elite level quarterback. We have wide receivers and tight ends with upside. We're not rostering a backup quarterback here. So I think it's a great team. The only thing I could possibly say is let's go see if we can, if there's a reasonable price we can pay for Andrews. But now Deebo Samuel off the board at 37. So Mark Andrews falls down to pick 36 in this draft. The majority of these, you're not going to see Mark Andrews fall that far. Ice Trade coming out says, just traded Ridley and Mike Williams for Bijan Robinson. Beautiful. Even in a 3-flex league. We already had Lamb and A.J. Brown. Oh, that's amazing. 3-flex league, you're a little less excited. Depth's going to matter a little bit more. But still, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Now, Sendos Brutus coming out. Tomato. Thank you, of course, for being such a long-time member of the vlog, saying, What would you rather do? Godwin and Mostert for James Conner or Godwin and Mostert for Miles Sanders? I'd rather have Miles Sanders. Right now, the Arizona Cardinals just look so damn bad, my friend. My team is Allen, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek, Andrews, Godwin. And then on the bench, we have London, Cook, Flowers. Yeah, and especially if we have this much depth in a one flex league, I definitely think we should be making this trade eventually. And yeah, I think it's going to be for Miles Sanders, not James Conner. James Conner has the workload that you would want to see, but he's just literally in the worst offense in the NFL. Okay. Well, let's move this around. Let's see what happens here. Okay, Burke's Law on the clock. They go Joe Burrow. Burrow wasn't in play for us. We didn't have Chase. We didn't have Higgins. Hopkins goes. So we will just go ahead. We will take Drake London. We'll keep on trying to play catch up at wide receiver whenever we started off with Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, a lot of these other round 5 wide receivers look less appealing now, such as McLaurin with the turf toe, as well as Jerry Jeudy with the hamstring. Deontay Johnson off the board, 47. Kenneth Walker goes 48. Okay, what are we doing here? Okay. Reed says, hey, Mason, do you ever think about having a third monitor with the data from your previous drafts? Or do you do anything else with the data that you could collect in 700 drafts? Hedge against your past teams, etc. Love your vids. No, thank you so much, my man. And yeah, I don't know if you already draft on Underdog. I'm assuming that maybe you do. But Underdog has everything really conveniently laid out for you in terms of just the dollars you've spent on each player across all drafts, as well as your overall percentage. So generally, I have my phone right here, and if you ever see me look down, it's probably because I'm looking at, okay, how much TJ Hawkinson do I have? What percentage of Hawkinson do I have in these leagues? And just making sure that it's not getting anything too unrealistic. Now, generally, whenever I'm going to draft this many teams on Underdog and spend this much money, I am always capping myself at about 20% for each individual player. Sometimes this will help us a ton. Like 2 years ago, I drafted a lot of Travis Etienne before the injury. I drafted a lot of Cam Akers before the injury. And because we capped ourselves at 20%, we were still able to have a profitable season. But last year, when my most drafted players were literally Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle, and Patrick Mahomes, capping myself at 20% wasn't the best thing in the world. So I definitely keep in mind all that data that we have. But no, I mean, I have a third monitor, but I use it for a live streaming purpose. I don't use it for that, my friend. We got, I guess, a fourth screen if you count my phone for that, my friend. But yeah, we're going to go Hawkinson. With Hawkinson, I think that he is a tight end that has an elite level weekly ceiling. I think this is an offense that could potentially lead the NFL in passing. I mean, hell, the 16th place team I got in Best Ball Mania last year and won 10,000 had TJ Hawkinson at its tight ends. So let's go ahead. Let's get him on. Richard coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, hey, big fan / supporter. Rate my 10-team PBR format where we have Lamar, Eckler, Bijan. How the hell did we get Eckler and Bijan on the same team? Keenan, Evans, Pierce, Andrews. We have the Lamar, Andrews tag as well. Beautiful team. Going down to the bench, we're focusing on wide receivers and running backs. Awesome team. Like better than 99% of teams that I've ever drafted in my entire life, my man. Lawrence goes off the board 59, so we don't have a quarterback yet in this draft. If we find one that we like, we're definitely willing to take one, right? Okay. But now Pickens goes 61. Compton Ace, long time. Remember the flag says, new team, 12-team, Kirk, Mixon, Pacheco, St. Brown, Terry, Travis. Oh, thank God we have Kelsey here. I was a little bit worried about this. Swift, Addison, Tony, Gabe Davis, JSN, David Harris, Romeo Dobbs. I mean, I would definitely like a better quarterback. I would be fine rostering 2 quarterbacks and playing the matchups with Kirk Cousins and another guy off the waiver wire. Outside of that, I think Kelsey kind of saves the team that we're able to go through and focus in on wide receivers with upside down on the bench like JSN to hopefully improve the starting lineup as the year progresses. Yeah, I would have been worried if we didn't have Kelsey, though. John says, 10-team league with 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a tight end. I've waited on a quarterback for the first 6 picks. We have Kelsey, Henry, AJ, Metcalf, Allen, White. Went Geno for quarterback shortly after. What are your thoughts? Generally, if you're in a 10-team league and you pass on the elite level quarterbacks, you really shouldn't be taking a quarterback until literally the very end of your draft. Because all the teams that take Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they're most likely not going to be taking 2 QBs. So, I mean, you are going to be at a spot where after like the elite guys go, there's a dead zone of about like 5-6 rounds where no other quarterbacks are getting drafted. I love the start of the team. I'll just say if you punt quarterback early, don't like be taking Geno Smith like round 7 because you probably get someone similar like round 12, 13. Now, Overcome says Dak and Andrews or Herbert and Hawkinson. Ooh, probably Herbert and Hawkinson for me, but I'm a big Hawkinson guy. I love Hawkinson. Let's move this around. David Montgomery off the board, 68. Very interesting to see Montgomery go here. I have plan A and plan B, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see which direction we got to go with. Kamara goes, so we're going to go ahead. We will take plan A here. We're going to go J.K. Dobbins as our RB2 to pair up with Christian McCaffrey. So now running back, we have CMC, Dobbins. Wide receiver, we have Waddle, Smith, London. Tight end, we have TJ Hawkinson. Kyle Pitts immediately after at 71. Interesting spot for us to be in. I really like our team, and hopefully it can get even better with this next pick. But ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 likes away from hitting 300 likes in this live stream. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like, be our 300 like of the stream. I mean, we got done with a 4-hour live stream earlier today to come and make sure we are firing up drafts for y'all tonight. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft with us, you can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. With promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And on top of that, with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get to take advantage of a site-wide special on Underdog Fantasy against the Lions. Patrick Mahomes more than less than half a total yard. If you are new to Underdog, a new customer offer where you get an additional mystery pick'em special on top of that. And only with promo code FLOCK, because I worked my butt off to get y'all it, you are also going to have a Josh Allen more than less than half a passing yard line for Monday night against the Jets. I've never seen Underdog do 2 special pick'ems in the same week, let alone 3. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that while you still can. Now, Chris coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says 10-team PPR redraft. I got the 10th pick and always fell behind the ball. What can I package for a better running back 2 or tight end? Right now we have Fields, Bijan, Madison, Diggs, Olave, Goddard, Amari. Oh, we're in a good spot. Bench, James Cook, Dobbins, JSN, Hollywood Brown. Really, the only thing I'd say is if you could throw like Hollywood Brown, a high floor, low ceiling player based off the offense that he's in a package deal with maybe a tight end like Dallas Goedert and go get TJ Hawkinson, I think that'd make a lot of sense because it's a 10-team league with only 1 flex spot. I think you could also look to target like the Jonathan Taylor or Alvin Kamara drafters, maybe one of those teams that are lacking the overall running back production at the beginning of the season and take advantage of them by going through and trying to trade away like J.K. Dobbins or James Cook in a package with maybe Alexander Madison and just getting a better running back in return for selling on some of our depth. I don't think you have to do anything, but if you wanted to, that's the move. Twisted Clown says, new to the channel, do you pick 'em? Yeah, so we will be going through and I will be giving y'all my favorite pick'ems probably tomorrow on the live stream for the season long. I mean, quick side note, if you want to see my favorite pick'em right now, season long, this is actually my most drafted player on Underdog Fantasy this offseason in terms of dollars spent. I've spent more dollars on Lamar Jackson than any other player, but Lamar Jackson for fewer than 3,500 passing yards is a mark that seems pretty damn good to me, considering the fact Lamar Jackson has literally never had 3,500 passing yards in a season. It's never happened, even his 2019 MVP year. Will says, what's up, Mason? I'm in a 10-team league with Lawrence, Bijan, Gibbs, Olave, Ridley, Devonta Smith, George Kittle. What do you think? And do you think I should try to trade for an elite wide receiver 1? I mean, I really like the team in general. We have the Lawrence Ridley stack. I think Olave is a wide receiver one as well. We have Devonta Smith as a solid guy. We have running backs with upside. Now, I think you're good, my man. I'm not looking to do anything with that team. Now, Dalvin off the board 90. So we went Jerry Jeudy in the last round just because if you look at Jeudy in the vast majority of these underdog drafts, he would have gone way higher than where he goes here. So we get some closing line ADP value. And also, it's a $25 buy-in. I mean, literally $3 million for first place. So we are highly incentivized to go through and try to have the highest ceiling we possibly can for the fantasy football playoff in weeks 15, 16, 17. So we will take Jerry Jeudy for that reason, ladies and gentlemen. But Richard says, thoughts, it's a 10-team PPR league where we have Fields, CMC, Pierce, St. Brown, Ridley, Olave, Higbee. And then on the bench, we have Hall, Montgomery, Ayuk, Pittman, and Jordan Addison. We have so much wide receiver and running back depth here that we can afford a better tight end, my man. Go out there. What the hell are we doing? Go trade Brandon Ayuk and see what tight end we can get in return. And we're going to take Hollywood Brown here, 94. I mean, with Hollywood, it's the worst offense you could ever imagine. So yeah, 100% he should have been falling compared to where he was going in like round 5 of underdog drafts earlier this season. But getting Hollywood Brown at this point is like a low-end wide receiver 4, high-end wide receiver 5. When he has the guaranteed target volume in Arizona, I will go ahead and take him, even if this is the grossest offense you can imagine. But Thomas says, 10-team standard league. We have Bijan, Pollard, Amon-Ra, Kupp, Walker, Akers, Deshaun Watson. Having trouble getting a quarterback or tight end. What's the play? I think the play is we wait till Kupp comes back. It's going to be hard to make a 2-for-1 deal whenever we have Cooper Kupp here, obviously. And we just don't have, a lot of flexibility overall. We don't have the depth until Kupp comes back. Once Kupp comes back, I think it'll be much easier for us to go through and get one of those players that we really like. Now, we're going to go ahead and we are going to take Deshaun Watson here. A no-brainer selection. Deshaun Watson picked 99. I think Watson has it in the range of outcomes to be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy this next season. I actually view him in the same tier as Trevor Lawrence. I view him as a tier ahead of Anthony Richardson. So to see Lawrence go here at 59, to see Anthony Richardson go at 82, and for us to get Deshaun Watson at 99, it's a price that I love and I'm super excited about. AJ says, do you think having Higgins and Mixon on the same team is a mistake? Hell no. I think there's so many points to go around in Cincinnati that, go ahead, roster both guys and just monopolize many of those Cincinnati Bengals points as you can have. Big B coming out says, my draft is in 30 minutes. I'm pick 8 in a 10-team snake draft regular format. What should I try for my first couple picks? If it's going to be a one flex 10-team league, I'd love to go ahead and go RB out the gate and then see if we can get Lamar and Andrews at the 3-4 turn. Sage of the East coming out says 12-team app PBR start 8. We have Richardson, Daniel Jones. Then running back, we have Ramondre Sanders, JT, Kenneth Gainwell, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Wide receiver, we have Diggs, Brown, Debo, JSN, Quentin Johnson, Zay Jones. Tight end, we have Pitts. What's the early season plan while we wait for JT? It's going to be a little bit of a tough spot, right? And that we have to roster 2 quarterbacks. We have a couple of these rookie wide receivers that are not going to give us anything at the beginning of the year, such as JSN and Quentin Johnston. The play is we start Ramondre Stevenson, Miles Sanders, send up a prayer. I think we probably drop Zay Jones to see if we can pick up another running back off the waiver wire that hopefully has some kind of upside. I feel like if our only running backs that are active on this roster are Ramondre Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell, even if we don't want to trade for a better running back, we at least need another running back down there on the bench, my friend. But we have Tua and Daniel Jones going 108, 109. I would have loved to have Tua making it back around to us at 118. Obviously, very unrealistic. Yeah, I know Tua would have stacked with Waddle, and we decided to take Watson over Tua, but it is what it is. Now, Jose coming out says, 10-team league with Herbert, Jefferson, Olave, Etienne, Walker, Kincaid, DJ Moore. And then on the bench, we have Christian Watson, Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, Zach Charbonnet, JSN. Who should I try to trade? I don't think we make a trade right now, my friend. I think that what we're going to look to do is we're going to look to see if we can pick up another tight end off the waiver wire to potentially start someone instead of Dalton Kincaid early on. And then once we get, say, Jonathan Taylor, JSN, or maybe even Zach Charbonnet, just a couple of those guys that are going to be long-term options for us actually playing and contributing to our lineup this year, then at that point, we'll be able to go through, and at that point, we'll be able to make a trade. But until then, it's kind of difficult to see one, right? Like, we're sitting around on our hands waiting for Kincaid to break out. We're waiting for Taylor to come back. We don't even know the role Javonte will have early on. We're waiting for JSN to be healthy. We're waiting for Zach Charbonnet to expand his role. So it's like hard to make a deal whenever we're sitting here on so many long-term pieces. Okay, Geno Smith off the board at 112. Nico Collins goes 113. This is a wild draft, ladies and gentlemen. Frymuth off the board 114. I would have loved having Pat Frymuth make it back around to us. I have plan A, plan B, plan C. For the love of God, hopefully one of these works out. Okay, one of them's going to work out. Jared McKinnon was not in those plans. Oh, this is a beautiful spot, ladies and gentlemen. The team goes Tony. I would have taken Tony if you would have made it to us at 118. I mean, Tony playing week one. 116 is great value for Kadarius Toney. He went from one of the most overrated players to one of the most underrated players in fantasy football drafts this offseason. And I hate to say that, right? But I mean, if Tony's now going next to Romeo Doubs, Tony's a great value here, 116. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get A.J. Dillon. Kirk Cousins was our backup plan if we didn't get Dillon to pair up Cousins and T.J. Hawkinson. Sucks to see Cousins go there at 119. But I mean, A.J. Dillon, ADP 103, getting him at 118. There'll be very few teams in the entire tournament that are able to get this kind of value on Dillon. I think he has a pretty high ceiling. We kind of need another running back. Jamal Williams off the board 120. This team has 5 RBs. Really interesting to see that. They have Walker, Akers, Rachaad White, Brian Robinson, and Jamal Williams. They go Jamison Williams, 121. Quahim on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. They go Romeo Doubs. Let's go ahead and let's say Juju. I mean, Juju's also a wide receiver that used to go earlier than this. I mean, we're getting him 123. Best ball. I think in your regular redraft format, like Juju Smith-Schuster's maybe not even someone worth rostering. Because for him to turn into a player that we're starting every single week, I mean, it's kind of a tough spot to imagine. However, if you're specifically looking at what we have of one of these best ball tournaments, I mean, if he just has a great week, randomly spikes into your starting lineup, I think he can be usable for us. Okay. But Noctorious coming out says, hey, Mason, 12-team at PBR, 6-point passing touchdown format. Double flex. We have Watson, Najee, Sanders, Garrett Wilson, Diggs, and Njoku Amari, Mike Williams, Charbonnet, Rodgers. I don't necessarily think we need Rodgers here. If you wanted to roster 2 quarterbacks, if you waited that long to get your first and fine with it. Tony, Roshan, Bateman, Gus, and Joshua Kelly. What are your thoughts? I really like the construction of the team at the very top end. And I do want to point out specifically what you were doing down there on the bench that I think makes so much sense and more people should follow your lead. Down at the very bottom end of the bench in your league where you have access to the waiver wire, you're not focusing in on the highest median projection. You are taking guys that we are going to get clarity on at the beginning of the season that we will feel comfortable dropping after week 1, after week 2, if they don't have the role that we like. If Joshua Kelly's not the RB2 clearly in Los Angeles, who cares? We'll drop him, pick up another waiver wire option after week 1. Say the same thing with Gus Edwards. Maybe even throw Rashad Bateman into the mix there as well. So I love what we're doing at the bottom end of that roster, specifically with those player prototypes that we are targeting. That way we can continue to make moves and work the waiver wire at the beginning of the season. But Dan says Lawrence, Chase, St. Brown, Sanders, Devonta Smith, McLaurin, Mostert, Jamal Williams, Sky Moore, Kenneth Gainwell, Zay Jones, and a 12-team PPR format. What are your thoughts here? We have a quarterback we're going to start every week, regardless of matchup. We have elite level wide receivers. We really just need to hit on some RBs here. It's nice that we have Mostert and Jamal Williams at the beginning of the season. I don't necessarily think that Zay Jones does anything. I don't want to be rostering like 7 wide receivers if our top guys are Jamar Chase, St. Brown. Like, we're going to be starting those guys every single week, regardless of matchup. We're going to be a little bit weak at running back. I'll probably drop Zay Jones, see if we can pick up a running back off the waiver wire. And then when it comes to what we have down there, like Jamal Williams, Mostert, I think it's actually really nice to have those guys to cover us at the beginning of the season on a team that's a little bit weaker at RB. Now, Q season coming out says 2 quarterback, 1 flex, 8-team league. We have Watson, Dak, Jefferson, Hill, St. Brown, Saquon, Gibbs, Kittle. The bench is Sanders, Christian Watson, Jared Goff. What are your thoughts? Generally, if we could try to package together like Christian Watson and one of the quarterbacks get an upgrade at QB, I think that's going to be very advantageous. I mean, it's a great team in general with what we have at wide receiver, but in an 8-team league where you only have one flex spot, typically speaking, I mean, you're really going to have no incentive to go through and focus in on wide receiver depth options. I mean, just making 2-for-1 deals, upgrading the starting lineup, especially if we can at quarterback in a 2 QB format, that's going to be the best thing we can do. Okay. But Deion Jackson goes 138. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, plan A, plan B. Let's see if we get either. Or I got plan C here as well. These drafts just look a little bit crazy. We may have to do something we usually wouldn't. Adam Thielen goes. I was not thinking about Adam Thielen here. MBS goes, we're going to go ahead. We will take Elijah Mitchell. Now, we're going to pair up Elijah Mitchell and CMC. Typically, I'm not going through and trying to handcuff our running backs in tournaments like this, but if nobody else is going to go through and take CMC and Elijah Mitchell in the same squad, could lead us to having a little bit more of a unique combo when it comes to the fantasy football playoff tournament at the very end, if you're just looking at the overall range of outcomes and the exposures that you may have across the entire tournament. Plus, I think Elijah Mitchell has a week-to-week role where he can possibly score a touchdown every once in a while. And obviously, he's a premium handcuff back if CMC were to go down. Now, we have Mingo off the board at 144. Hyatt goes 145. Where's Donovan Peoples-Jones? Are we going to get him on the way back around? Yeah, hopefully. Pair up with Watson. I think we're actually going to take Damian Harris here as our RB5, because if we get Damian Harris as our running back 5, I don't think we have to take another running back through the rest of this draft. And at the same time, running backs typically are a lot harder to draft now at the very end than they were a month ago. I mean, we talked about this a lot in the live stream last night, but late round running backs are just kind of harder to find. Not necessarily that, I mean, they got injured or anything. No, more so we just learned that all those late round running backs that we were drafting are garbage. Like those guys generally don't have a super high ceiling, and I mean, we were kind of wasting picks on them earlier in the offseason. So I want to be getting one of our running backs before the tier drop happens. I think it's going to happen relatively soon. Now, I believe our next question coming out from Jake says 12-team Superflex where we have Mahomes, Watson, Lamb, Christian Watson, Dameon Pierce, Walker, Kincaid, DJ Moore. The bench is Javonte Sutton. What do you think, and what should we change? Overall, I like the team. It's just going to be a tough spot to start Dalton Kincaid right away, right? I think Kincaid has a lot of upside based off the situation in the long term in this offense, but we typically know that rookie tight ends aren't going to produce year one, especially not at the beginning. So I would like to see if we can go back to like Kincaid Sutton for a tight end upgrade if we only have one flex spot. Andy says, I need a running back trade proposal. I give up Jefferson Hawkinson for Diggs, Etienne, and Higbee in return. Hell to the no, hell to the no, hell to the no. The trade that you would possibly be looking at would be Jefferson for Diggs and Etienne. You're not also going to be downgrading from Hawkinson and Higbee. Do not do that. Bam Can coming out says, in a 10-team PPR league, Daniel Jones, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Kamara, Dobbins. Wide receiver is Jefferson, Diggs, Wilson, Evans, Ayuk, Sky, Moore. Tight end David Njoku, what are your thoughts? If this is the league that you were talking about earlier today, my friend, where you can go through and start 5 wide receivers, I love it. If it's going to be a league that maybe you weren't mentioning where you only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, there it's going to be a little bit tougher, and I'd look to sell Ayuk. But if it's a league where you start 5 wide receivers, it's a good spot. Now, Joe says, what you think? It's a 12-team double PPR format. We have Fields, Bijan, Deion Jackson / Javonte for RB2. Start Javonte. We have Adams, Debo, Mike Williams, Andrews, Kirk, JT, and Elijah Moore on the bench. I like it. In general, if it's going to be a double PPR format, we're going to be looking to play a wide receiver in that flex spot more times than not. So I would try to optimize a little more for wide receiver depth and running back production. But Antonio coming out says, rate the team. It's a 12-team app PPR where we have Mahomes, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Pacheco, Mark Andrews. And then on the bench, we have Cooks, Mostert, Penny, Dobbs, Elijah Mitchell. Who are we flexing? I mean, if we're flexing someone here, I mean, if we were just looking at those bench options, I think that we would be going with Raheem Mostert week 1 with how good his situation is in the short term. If his situation changes, then afterwards, maybe we look at Brandon Cooks. But week 1, good matchup against the Chargers. Should be a very high scoring game. Love the squad as long as we're focusing on as many running backs and wide receivers with upside down there on the bench. Now, Sam Howell off the board at 161. Let's swing this back around. So we still need another quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. This may be a sneaky spot to take 3 tight ends, and 3 QBs. Never my plan A to do that, especially if we go like Hawkinson, but I don't know. If we just look at like the wide receivers and running backs that we have on the team versus like the player pool that's available right now, if you look at historical advance rates, if you look at historical data in general, you definitely don't want to take 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends if you take a tight end as early as we did with Hawkinson. It's just also at the same time, I mean, historically speaking, these quarterbacks and tight ends have never been so cheap down here. Jordan Love, not too exciting for us, right? Considering the fact that we only have A.J. Dillon in terms of our Packers. Donovan Peoples-Jones already went, so sadly we're not going to be able to get him. For that reason, we'll just go ahead. We'll take Rashee Rice. I know Rice did not have a great training camp. I mean, reports aren't great about him right now in general. But 166 for just a piece of the Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs offense, I'm going to be willing to go ahead and just kind of roll the dice at that point. We've Hayden Hurst off the board at 168, so you have these tight ends going. Jordan Love goes 169. Like I said, Love wasn't really too exciting for us at this point. Okay. We're going to take the falling knife. We're going to take someone that literally nobody ever wants to draft. We're going to go Greg Dulcich here. We took Jerry Jeudy. So, I mean, maybe we make this consolidated bet on the Denver Broncos offense. We're in a spot where we don't get the potential stack with Donovan Peoples-Jones, which is what we were looking at earlier when we decided to take Deshaun Watson. So, I don't know. Weird spot to be in. I think maybe we want to take 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends with this team. So, for that reason, I don't want to take another wide receiver. Now, MJGM says, who do I pick up the 101? CMC, Jefferson, or Chase? I'm thinking CMC since running backs are so scarce. And a 12-team league where we start 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, 6 points per passing touchdown. No, if it's a league where you start 3 wide receivers, my friend, you definitely want to go ahead. You want to take Jefferson out the gate just based off his range of outcomes. But I drafted Joe Montana coming out and says, thanks for all the help this summer. Recruited new flockers today. Snagged myself CMC, Kelsey, Mixon, Lamar, and a wide receiver horde. You rock. No, awesome draft, my man. And thank you so much for all the support and hanging out with us all summer. Really, really do appreciate you, my man. And Misa says, going to Austin in 2 weeks, best barbecue spot. So the most famous barbecue spot in Austin, my man, it's going to be Franklin's Barbecue. Like the most trendy barbecue spot is going to be La Barbecue. I believe that's what it's called, La Barbecue. It's like the Mexican version. Now, if you're going to go to one of those places, you have to get there hours in advance and wait in line. If you're not trying to wait hours in line for barbecue, which I've lived here for years and I've never done because I just don't have the time, Black's Barbecue is damn good, my man. Damn good. I eat Black's Barbecue maybe every other day. Now, Black Jesus coming out. Happy to see him, my man. Says, I'm in a 10-team league at the 110 full PBR, debating between Pollard or Barkley and an elite level wide receiver, or double tapping wide receiver and waiting on running back. Any advice? If it's going to be a 10-team league where you can only start, say, 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, naturally you're going to find so many wide receiver values that you like later on in the draft that I think you'll be in a much better spot if you were to just go through and at least stay balanced and take 1 running back out the gate. Because the issue is if you go, say, like CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown, then all of a sudden on the way back around at the 310, you have like Chris Olave there and you have to take Chris Olave because the value. Then at that point, you really can't take advantage of like values later on, like Drake London round 7, etc. So generally, I'd say you probably want to be going through and at least grabbing a running back there at the 1-2 turn if we can. But ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 500 likes on this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream, and we're going to be firing up more drafts after this. You know we are. And Isaac says, 11th pick in a 12-team league where I have Watson, A.J. Brown, Ridley, Mike Williams, Mike Evans, Barkley, Ramadre, Taylor, McKinnon, Mitchell, Higbee, Juwan Johnson. What are your thoughts? I mean, running back may be a little bit ugly out the gate. As long as we can get by with, Jarrett McKinnon as our RB3 until Jonathan Taylor comes back in. We have an elite level ceiling in the long term. I would like to sell Evans in a small piece if we can for Amari Cooper, or same thing with Mike Williams to get the stack with Watson. But overall, great team, great team. We're just waiting for JT to come back and hoping that he still has some upside for us. Okay. Smooth this around. Hunter Renfrow off the board, 186. Yeah, do not be taking Hunter Renfrow here, ladies and gentlemen. Ty Chandler goes 187. Chuba Hubbard off the board. Yeah, so we get some pretty big values falling at this point. That team goes Joshua Palmer. So we're going to go ahead. We will take DJ Chark now. I was thinking in the back of our mind, okay, do we take 2 tight ends? Yeah, I mean, 3 tight ends and 3 quarterbacks. You don't want to be taking 3 tight ends and 3 quarterbacks in an underdog tournament like this. So we'll take Chark, most likely followed this up with a wide receiver round 17, wide receiver round 18 to pair up with who we already have in Deshaun Watson as our QB1. Obviously, best ball draft, you can't take multiple quarterbacks, whereas in your regular shallow redraft format, you're not going to do so. Miller off the board, 191. Not going to blame anybody for taking Miller here. And now this is a team that has Allen and Jordan Love, so you assume they can't really go with the QB3 if they took Josh Allen where they did. So I think we are going to get Bryce Young on the way back around. And that's a big reason why we took DJ Chark at pick 190, right? Because we do want to still set ourselves up with some of these potential stacks later. So if we go through and we take DJ Chark, we can go Bryce Young, 195 as our QB2, and hopefully have some upside at the quarterback position. But let's go ahead. Let's get into another draft, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be getting into another Best Ball Mania draft. Hopefully, I'm not going to run out of these soon. But this is a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million first place, $1 million for second place, the largest fantasy football tournament on the planet. Your boy got 16th place in this last year for $10,000, but we are not stopping until we get first place, ladies and gentlemen. Now, John coming out says 4-point passing touchdown PPR format, 10-team league with only 1 flex. Hurts, love the elite level QB here. Running back, we have James Conner, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams. Wide receivers, Lamb, Ridley, Tyreek, tight end Hawkinson. Am I okay at running back? Yes, just roster as many running backs as we can down there on the bench. Love the team elsewhere. Roster as many running backs as we can on the bench. Cheetos Goku coming out says, hey, how do you decide when to reach to fill a specific position in your roster versus drafting the best player available? Generally, you don't ever want to have to reach to fill that position. That's why I try to tell a lot of people to stay balanced in drafts and don't go, okay, I'm going to take 3 wide receivers in a row, or I'm going to take 3 running backs in a row, and then put yourself in a position where you are forced to reach later on. Of course, if you are in a specific league format where you can start up to 5, 6 wide receivers, you can at that point go through and try to kind of like exploit your league format and draft as many wide receivers in a row as possible. But typically, I think you stay balanced. You don't have to find yourself in that position. Lionel says Waller, Devontae, Khalil Herbert, or Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Njoku. I'm definitely going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Njoku here, but I know most people will be higher on Darren Waller than I am. Rich coming out says 10-team PBR where we have Allen, Rodgers at quarterback. You can go through, drop Aaron Rodgers. You don't need Aaron Rodgers if we have Josh Allen. We're starting him every week regardless of matchup. Bijan, Brian Robinson, Roshan, Elijah Mitchell, Zach Charbonnet. Wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Hopkins, Lennon, Dotson, JSN. Tight end Andrews. Beautiful team. I think we just move on from Rodgers, pick up another upside running back. And then if Dotson starts off super strong with no McLaurin, look to sell Dotson eventually. Johnny Way coming out says, got Taylor in round 9 as my RB4. Perfect spot. You don't even need Taylor if you have Bijan, Barkley, ETN, just an upside play at the end of the season. Currently, JT's on the IR. I have depth of wide receiver with Kupp, Allen, Debo, Sam Kirk. Good gamble or not really? 100% great gamble, right? I mean, if you take, say, Jonathan Taylor as your running back 4 and he doesn't pan out, who the hell cares? Who you probably would have taken there anyway, would have been bad. Take a swing on someone with some real upside. Take a swing on someone that can move the difference. Move the needle. Make a difference. Love it. Now, Kelsey goes 5. Bijan Robinson goes 6. Let's move this back around. Who are we going to get here at 9, ladies and gentlemen? And we are 1 like away from hitting 600 likes on this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream, ladies and gentlemen. Help us out if you have not done so already. And of course, if you want to get into our next draft, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, the next night, and we're doing this every single night on the live stream. We are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted 700 teams, $150,000 last year. And now is your perfect time to get on Underdog because they have a site-wide special. Patrick Mahomes, more than less than half a total yard Thursday night against the Lions. If you are new to Underdog, you also get an additional mystery special pick'em. And on top of that, only with promo code FLOCK are you going to be getting an exclusive more than less than half a passing yard with Josh Allen Monday night. I've never seen Underdog have 2 special pick'ems the same week, let alone 3. So please make sure y'all are taking advantage of that while y'all still can, ladies and gentlemen. And Amon-Ra St. Brown off the board at 11. You have Nick Chubb going 10. CeeDee Lamb off. How far do you have Kupp falling? And also, if y'all didn't hear, promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match up to $200. Plus your 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. If you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK. The other draft, we're going to go Kyler with our last pick 214 to pair up with Hollywood. Say, who knows? It's a $25 buy-in, $3 million first place prize. Maybe Kyler actually makes it back. Okay. Devontae Adams off the board. So I'm going to take Cooper Kupp. Now, I want to reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, in your regular fantasy football redraft format, you may not necessarily want to take Cooper Kupp here at this price point. The reason why I personally am going to take Cooper Kupp is this is a tournament that's been open since April, where the vast majority of teams took Cooper Kupp at picks 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there are going to be such a small percentage of overall teams in this overall format that have A.J. Brown and Cooper Kupp. And I think we can all agree there's maybe a 10% chance that Cooper Kupp is okay. There's maybe a 5% chance that Cooper Kupp's the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy this year. And this is a $25 buy-in in a $3 million first place prize tournament. If this all seems to be overblown, even if it's only a 10% chance that it's overblown with the Cooper Kupp injury, if that's a 10% chance and all of a sudden we have 2 top 3 wide receivers that nobody else in the tournament has together pretty much, it's a gamble that I'm really willing to take. Now, Bestbird says, 10-team PPR format, I have Hurts, Tyreek, Kupp, Pollard, Stevenson, Goddard, and Hopkins. What should I do with Kupp? Should I try to trade for St. Brown? I think most people at this point would rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown over Cooper Kupp. Like I said, I think you have to have like maybe St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Lamb, Adams over Kupp at this point. I still do have Kupp over like Olave, Ridley, and Waddle though. Jay Funk says, give it to me straight. It's a redraft 12-team at PPR where I knew quarterbacks would go early because 6 points passing touchdown. Top 5 quarterbacks gone before the 2-3 turn. Mahomes, Stevenson, Ridley, 1, 2, 3. I don't like it, my man. I do not like it. I'm sorry. Even in a 6-point passing touchdown format, it's not necessarily going to want me to push quarterbacks up way more than they would go originally. The adjustment I want to be making in a 6-point passing touchdown format is not to push up all quarterbacks in drafts, but instead to prioritize the quarterbacks that could possibly lead the NFL in passing rather than the rushing quarterbacks. 6-point passing touchdown league, you're going to be bumping up guys like Burrow and Herbert, moving down players like Lamar and Fields. But by no means does that mean all of a sudden we should take Mahomes round 1. Now, Justin coming out says 12-team tiered PPR starting 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flags. So if we can start 5 wide receivers and it's a tiered PPR, we better have slammed wide receivers here, my man. Pick 8, we have Allen, Jacobs, Pierce, Diggs, Lockett, Elijah Moore, Pitts, Dobbins, James Cook, with Mingo, Devon, A-Chain, Zay Jones, Hayden Hurst, Van Jefferson. What do you think, and should we make any deals? So, in general, if it's going to be a tiered PPR format, I'm fine with us rostering 2 tight ends because it's going to be a tight end premium, and tight ends will be a little bit more appealing to go through and put in the flex spot in some situations. But with that being said, I think that we should have gone much harder at the wide receiver position and maybe punted running back a little bit more. If it's a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers and we have 2 flexes, to be sitting here with Elijah Moore as my wide receiver 3, I'm not going to feel comfortable with, my friend. In that kind of format, that's where you're a little bit more willing to go 0 RB, and I'd probably rather trade J.K. Dobbins in a package to go get a wide receiver upgrade. Now, Kurt says 12-team redraft league where we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. 6-point passing touchdown format, 0.3 points per reception. We have Dak, Barkley, Etienne, Lamb, Hopkins, Andrews, Brees. How are you feeling about Brees week 1? First off, love the team in the long term, but with Brees Hall week 1, I just made my top 24 rankings when it comes to running backs this week, and I did not include Brees Hall there. I think that it's going to be very difficult to start Brees Hall initially, where you most likely will have a pretty large role when it comes to what you're going to be getting with Dalvin Cook. I think that Brees Hall gives you a long-term upside where you can be excited there. But I don't know if we can go through and be pumped about Brees Hall, at least in the short term. Jake says, got a 10-team ESPN PBR home league tomorrow. 10th pick. What's your strategy going in? If it's a 10-team league with only 1 flex, I would generally like to go RB and then see if we can get Andrews Lamar at the 3-4 turn. Tesla says, Yo Mason, thoughts on this 12-team full BBR format where we have Allen, Etienne, Montgomery, Algier, Elijah Mitchell, wide receiver Tyreek, St. Brown, Christian Watson, Kirk, Sutton, Tony, Hogginson at tight end. I actually really like the squad, like the tight end, quarterback, and then elite studs, focusing on running back, wide receiver, upside down there on the bench. I think Tony's like the perfect guy to be rostering now that it looks like he's good for week 1 and that he is someone that could have an extremely high ceiling. But at the same time, we'll know right away. Like, we can go ahead and we can cut him if things don't work out. So, yeah, I actually really like that squad, my man. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Lamar at 33, and we will go with DJ Moore at 40. Generally, y'all know I take a lot of Lamar Jackson at the end of round 3, and I used to get a lot of Travis Etienne in the middle of round 4. It's just much harder to get Travis Etienne than it used to be. But Tesla coming out says, Yo Mason, thoughts on the 12-team full BBR format where we have Allen. No, I'm sorry. We already answered this. Next one coming out from Ice Tray Clip says, thoughts? It's a 10-team league with 3 flexes. We have Lamar, Bijan, Connor, Lamb, AJ Brown, Higbee, Sanders, White, MT, and JT on the PvP, Sky, Juju, and Dobbs on the bench. Full BBR format, I would like to prioritize wide receiver a little bit more than this if we could. Actually, I guess we're fine. I mean, the thing is, I would just be interested to see if we can trade like Rachaad White for a wide receiver that we know is good, right? Like if you send like Rachaad White for Christian Watson in a league with 3 flex spots and it's full PPR, I think that'd be interesting. Carlos says Justin Fields, Alexander Madison, Breece Hall, Stephon Diggs, Waddle, Kelsey, Ayuk. And then on the bench, we have Judy, Sutton, Gallup, P. Ryan, Jeff Wilson Jr., Treylon Burks. Any changes I should make? You should cut Jeff Wilson Jr. if not going to be able to put him on your IR. There's no reason to roster him for the first 4 weeks where we don't even know if we can start him when he comes back. I love that we have Travis Kelce here so we can use an extra roster spot on a running back down there on the bench. Don't have to roster a backup tight end. I really like the starting lineup overall. The only thing I'd change is letting go of Jeff Wilson Jr. in favor of another running back. Jacob says, rate my underdog squad. We have Burrow, Stafford. Okay, good. We only need 2 quarterbacks there. Running back, Najee, Walker, Gibson, Zeke, P. Ryan. I probably would have taken the 6th RB, but then Chase, Higgins, Evans, McLaurin, Michael Thomas, Odell, and then tight end, we have Irv Smith Jr. and Luke Musgrave. As long as we took 3 tight ends, my man. I can't see if we took a 3rd tight end. If you're telling me you're only going into the season with Irv Smith Jr., Luke Musgrave, say it's not a spot I feel super comfortable with, but in underdog best ball drafts in particular, if we took a 3rd tight end there, I think we would be a little more excited. Okay, let's move this around. So we need running back. We need tight ends. We essentially are pretty damn good at quarterback. Now, with these underdog drafts in particular, you can continue to go through and take wide receivers if that's what we like the value of at pick 57. Chris says, 1 flex, 12-team BBR. We have Fields, Jones, Gibbs, Gibson, Kamara, Brown, Olave, Watson, Addison, Pittman, JSN. Tight end, we have Schultz, Higbee's thoughts. I like the team in a 1 flex league. Once we get JSN back from an injury, I would be going through and trying to package together Michael Pittman as well as one of those tight ends, whether it's Schultz or Higbee, to try to get a tight end upgrade there. But I think it's going to be a nice spot to keep the wide receiver depth until JSN's back and healthy. Like the team, though. Okay. Now we have Taylor going 54. Kenneth Walker goes 55. That sucks. I definitely would have liked to have Kenneth Walker here at 57. But, I mean, we can't. Oh, god dang. Damian Pierce off. I'll take someone that I've not taken a lot as of late because I do think that the Darren Waller price point is a little bit out of control if you're going to be comparing him to some of these other guys. Like, I'd way rather have Pitts, Goddard, these players 2 rounds later. But, of course, I'm an idiot. I'm wrong all the time. This may be one of the instances where I am wrong, so let's go ahead and let's swing at Darren Waller selection here. I don't know. And what you doing, Ben? Coming out says, hey, man, I have Pollard, Aaron Jones, Ayuk, Goddard, Lamar, Javonte, Kupp. Should I try to trade for a better wide receiver with bench players like Pittman? No, I think you just kind of sit till Kupp comes back. I mean, if Kupp comes back and he turns into a wide receiver 1, you should be a pretty good spot. Roast Beef says your work ethic is inspiring me. My man, thank you. And I do want to reiterate, I mean, this isn't hard work. I mean, we're sitting here talking fantasy football. I'm sure everybody and their mom would love to do this. It's a little dream. I did this for years before it could have ever in a million years been a job. This is just fun for me, my friend. But thank you so much. Thank you. And of course, if y'all have not done so already, go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. We are 1 like away from hitting 700 likes on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. And we have live stream for 128 days in a row. So if you're not going down there, hit that like button for us. What the hell are you doing? Come on. Now, Alexander Madison off the board, 61. What is this team doing here, 62? Taking all the way down to the last second. I'll tell you that. They're going to go Jerry Jeudy. We went Jerry Jeudy, I believe, at the 6-7 turn in the last draft. Okay. Donkey fish on the clock. They go Dobbins, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Tyler Lockett here, ladies and gentlemen. Underdog is a league where you must start 3 wide receivers and a flex every single week. So we are going to be going with a 0 RB build. Generally, I mean, it's a little scary to go with the 0 RB build with how bad the running back landscape looks currently. But we'll see if we can make it work. We'll try. We'll try my best. Now, Snap coming out says 12-team full BBR pick 11, where we have 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. We have Diggs, Pollard, Ridley, Amari, Walker, Herbert, Ingram, London, JSN, Charbonnet, Mooney, and Gerald Everett. Generally, I don't necessarily think Darnell Mooney is someone that we should be rostering in a league where we only have 1 flex spot. I don't really see the ceiling in it. I'd probably rather use him in a deal, see if we can get an upgrade literally anywhere else in the starting lineup. Maybe we want to go through and maybe we want to package together like Darnell Mooney and one of these running backs like Zach Charbonnet, just get a slight upgrade at the RB position. But I mean, if we have Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper at the very top and a wide receiver, we have the depth like London, JSN. I don't know if we're ever even going to be looking to have Mooney. So I definitely think I would prioritize a little more running back depth there. But Caleb coming out says 10-team PBR pick 8, where we have Bijan, Pollard, Smith, Judy, Allen, Hawkinson, James Cook, Lazard, Deontay Johnson, Dotson, Juwan Johnson. What are your thoughts? Juwan Johnson's our tight end 1 in a 10-team league. I definitely think, we have TJ Hawkinson. Thank God. I was going to say, we're in trouble, my man, but no. I mean, if we have Hawkinson, we're in a good spot. We need some more wide receiver depth with the Jerry Jeudy injury, but we can start Dotson in the short term. I think once Dotson hopefully starts hot with the Terry McLaurin injury, and then Jerry Jeudy's coming back into this lineup, then maybe at that point we can look to go ahead and sell high on Jahan Dotson. But it's not necessarily something that we want to be doing right now, right? Because we need his production before Jerry Jeudy comes back in. Derek back out again says Josh Allen, Bijan, Stevenson, Akers, Brian Robinson, Damien Harris. Wide receivers, Lamb, Ayuk, London, Deontay Johnson, Elijah Moore, Sutton in a 10-team PPR format. Is this the same team we looked at earlier? No, my man. I feel like the other team we looked at earlier, you had an elite level quarterback as well, if I'm remembering correctly. We have a lot of depth. What I like is when we're rostering guys like Sutton and Elijah Moore, these are players with upside overall. I would just say if like Sutton starts off super hot with the Jerry Jeudy injury, at that point, if we can package together like Sutton and K Makers to get a running back upgrade, that'd be interesting. But by no means something you have to do. Elijah says need 2 to start for week 1, Gibbs, Madison, or Kenneth Walker. So they're pretty damn close to my rankings. Let me go ahead and pull up my rankings for week 1 for you, my man. Gibbs 17, Walker 12, Madison 13. Madison does have a very good matchup this week where the Vikings are 7-point favorites, where they're most likely going to be looking to run the ball at the beginning. Run the ball through the game. So I probably look to actually go ahead and bench Gibbs there. I mean, he's a rookie. It's his first NFL game ever, even if it's a good matchup. Okay. Her pal coming out says, Keeper League, Happy BR. Other players are gone and kept already. Should I take Kupp, Adams, Henry, Bijan, Kelsey, or Barkley? My keepers fields at round 13. I definitely think we want to be looking at Bijan or Kelsey here. If it's going to be a league with multiple flex spots, I think we go ahead and take Bijan Robinson. Only 1 flex, we go Kelsey. Okay, Flowers off the board. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we need running backs, right? So we will go ahead and we will take Cam Akers. We'll essentially we'll be buying the dip on the Rams offense, essentially saying, what if it isn't as bad as people expect? What if this Kupp injury turns out to be okay? Of course, by no means do we know that's going to be the case. By no means is that a guarantee. But it's a $25 buy-in, $3 million first place prize. Sometimes the unexpected thing has to happen if you're going to win. The bigger man coming out says, rate my 12-team PBR 1 flex, Mixon, Mahomes, Sanders, Hill, Cooper, Higbee, Kirk, Jeudy, Addison, Brian Robinson, Jarrett McKinnon, Roshan Laporta, and Jonathan Mingo. Fine if you wanted to roster Laporta here if we have Tyler Higbee as our tight end one. We have a lot of wide receivers on the roster. But we have Mahomes. I like the team. I like the team. I think we're probably going to have to wait until we get Judy back and Addison to break out, or at least one of those things happening before we make a move. Okay, Sutton, Sky Moore off the board, 84-85. Okay. I think we're in a good spot. I mean, with these running backs falling to us, hopefully we have something that could potentially happen. Hopefully we can make a play in some way. James Conner goes. Conner would have been our selection if he would have made it to us at 88. We would just continue to take the worst players in the worst offenses in the NFL. But we will take someone else that's going to be in one of the worst offenses in the NFL instead. We will go ahead and we'll take Rachaad White as our RB2 here. So essentially the strategy in this draft is send up a prayer and see if something can happen. Now wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett. Quarterback, we have Lamar. Tight end, we have Darren Waller. And running back, we have Cam Akers, Rachaad White, ladies and gentlemen. But Nick asking what we think of the team. It's Mahomes, CMC, Dobbins, Lamb. How did we get Lamb, CMC, Mahomes, and Waddle on the same team? Hawkinson, Hopkins, bench, Mike Williams, Cook. A beautiful team. There's nothing we can say bad about that. I mean, I'm assuming it's a keeper league because I don't know how we got that much value on the team. Now, John says, second pick in a redraft, 12-team PBR, 1 flex. Would you start Chase Olave, Gibbs, or CMC Higgins, an elite level quarterback? How about CMC Olave in an elite level quarterback? That would be my goal here, my man. That'd be my goal. As long as whatever gets us the elite level quarterback. Now, Doug coming out says, got Metcalf and Lockett and no luck soliciting a trade. If I'll be starting DK, who to flex? Lockett, Mostert, Zeke, Dalvin, Gabe Davis, Scott Moore. You can feel free to go through and start DK and Lockett the same week, my man. I mean, if you look at the passing volume that was in Seattle last year, if you were going through and starting those guys, you were making money. Now, I will say that probably going to be better at the beginning of the season until you have JSN back in. And when you have JSN breaking out, then at that point, maybe it's an issue. But in the short term, you're in a good spot. Now, Michael says 10-team league, full BBR, drafting fourth, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Who would you go? Eckler, Kelsey, or Hill? 3 wide receivers. I'm going to go ahead. I'm most likely going to take Tyreek Hill. Also would have bet Amon-Ra St. Brown in round 2 and Mahomes round. I would love that. I would love to go Hill, St. Brown, and Mahomes if it's a league where you can start up to 4 wide receivers. But Jay Dollarstein coming out says, hey, Mason, 12-team PPR, 6-point pass and touchdown, 1 flex. We have Lamar, A.J. Brown, London, Stevenson, Bijan, Kittle, Hollywood. And then on the bench, we have Kincaid, MVS, Daniel Jones. Drop Daniel Jones. You don't need him, especially in a 6-point pass touchdown format where we have Lamar. Drop MVS. MVS really has no upside to turn into an every week starter. Swift, McKinnon, Gallup. A waiver wire pickup, drop Mingo. I mean, Gallup, Mingo, pretty much going to be your personal preference. I would rather have Mingo over MVS, though. I think MVS is like a very good best ball option, like underdog drafts, right, where he will randomly see a big spike week, considering the fact that he's with Patrick Mahomes in this offense. But I mean, fundamentally, it's just so hard to ever know when he's going to break out. So, I mean, Mingo maybe has a little more upside. I'd probably rather have Mingo than MVS. Now, Peppa Pig coming out says, Sup, Mason, just drafted today. Team is Hurts, Jacobs, Ramondre, Chase, Metcalf, Pat Frymuth, Dobbins, JT, DJ Moore, Swift, Dotson, Pittman, Mostert. Interesting spot. I think Mostert, JT is a natural pairing, considering the fact we need to cover at the beginning of the year. We have the elite quarterback. We have the elite wide receiver. Great team, my man. Great team. Generally, I think some teams, it makes sense to sell Raheem Mostert. Not with that one. Okay. Let's move this back around. We have Evan Ingram off the board at 103. David Njoku goes as well. We're going to go ahead. We will take A.J. Dillon here, ladies and gentlemen. Similar to the last draft, we're just taking running backs that we know we're going to have a week-to-week role and upside for more if something were to change in their offense, right? Like Aaron Jones goes down, A.J. Dillon could be a low-end RB1 in fantasy. And I think we get some usable weeks with A.J. Dillon, even with the healthy Aaron Jones at the same time. Jim the King, longtime member of the flock. Happy to see it. Thank you so much for a massive dono, my man. Saying second year with the flock. Big thanks. We have Mahomes, Jacobs, Dobbins, Brown, Hopkins, Hawkinson, Jamal Williams. And then on the bench, we have Burrow. Oh, we got to trade one of these QBs, my man. Cousins. Oh, we got to get rid of the Cousins. Ingram, Odell, Addison, Mustard. Leverage Burrow or Cousins for a trade for a better running back or wide receiver depth. I mean, I would love to go through and say, oh, yeah, let's go ahead and let's trade Kirk Cousins. Let's get a better running back. In reality, I don't think anybody's going to be trading for Kirk Cousins, my man. I think you're probably stuck with Cousins. I definitely can't have 3 rosters on this team. I think that you will be able to actually find a nice price point to sell Joe Burrow with. And yeah, I would love to go through and I would love to see if we could package together, say, Joe Burrow and Jamal Williams, especially with the role that Jamal's going to have at the beginning of the season for a long-term running back that we really like the upside of. And then also, I think another play that we could potentially make is look to sell Evan Ingram. You have Hawkinson, who we're going to start every single week, regardless of matchup as well. If we could potentially look to sell like Ingram and Odell in a package to get a long-term upgrade at wide receiver, and then prioritize picking up another running back and wide receiver off the waiver wire to backfill in with overall upside, that's going to be the main thing we're looking to do. Because when we have like Mahomes, what makes him so valuable is we can start him every single week, regardless of matchup. What makes, say, TJ Hawkinson so valuable is you can go through and you can start him every single week, regardless of matchup. I mean, if at the end of the day, we're going through and we are rostering backup quarterbacks, backup tight ends, it's going to really hamstring us with our running back and wide receiver. But we're going to go ahead. We will take Daniel Jones here at 112. Honestly, probably not the best call, right? Because now we have 2 quarterbacks with the same bye week. Maybe we want to go ahead and take a third. I'll say it's not the end of the world if we only take 2 QBs, considering the fact we are trying to optimize 4 weeks, 15, 16, 17. The Daniel Jones selection makes sense because we do get the stack with Darren Waller. He's a quarterback that has rushing upside. In a best ball format, we can randomly spike into our starting lineup. And on top of this, if you're going to be looking at what we have with a roster construction perspective, we are only going to have to take 2 QBs if we don't care about the bye weeks. Now, if we care about the bye weeks, we may have to go ahead and take another QB. But ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 likes away from hitting 800 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, the next night, you can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. If you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find all our premium content. And now is the best time to be getting on Underdog because they have a site-wide special. Patrick Mahomes, more than less than half a passing yard Thursday night against the Lions. If you're new to Underdog, you also get an additional mystery pick'em special on top of that. And last but not least, only with promo code FLOCK are you going to get an exclusive Josh Allen special, more than less than half a passing yard against the New York Jets on Monday night. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. I've never seen Underdog have 2 pick'ems the same week that were special, but 3 is just freaking nuts. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Brada says, 10-team league, would you suggest I trade Najee for DK? My running backs are CMC, Najee, Dobbins, Sanders, Penny. My wide receivers are Lamb, Watson, Mike Williams, London, Jason. No, I don't think we make a deal like this. I think the trade that we look to make is we look to instead package like Najee and one of our depth wide receivers like Mike Williams for an elite level wide receiver, right? We're not making a trade where we're trying to send 1 running back for 1 wide receiver or return or vice versa. We're trying to make a 2-for-1 style trade where we are going to go through and we are going to be getting a player with a ton of upside in return, if that makes sense. Especially when we're that deep. Okay. So Cousins falling a considerable amount. What sucks is we can't take Kirk Cousins here, right? Okay, let's move this around. We are just running back, wide receiver, tight end through the rest of this draft, ladies and gentlemen. Rob says 12-team happy BR, 11th pick. We have Pollard, AJ Brown, Walker, Metcalf, Hawkinson, JT, Evans, Khalil Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Reed Monster, Odell Beckham Jr., Sky Moore, and Jonathan Mingo. I like the team. I'm fine with the roster in terms of the bottom end wide receivers if we're fine moving on from them if they don't have the role that we like. We just need a little more running back depth considering the fact that we have JT, right? So that's why I just don't love rostering like Mingo, Sky Moore, Odell at the very end. So, I don't know if those wide receivers ever do anything for us based off the top end of our team. And, we could use just an upside shot at an RB. Now, we're going to go ahead. We will take Jamal Williams. We definitely need a running back that can at least give us something at the beginning portion of the season, right? At the end of the day, with Jamal, we know we at least get 3 usable weeks from him. I think they will also have some random touchdowns for us through the course of the season, even when Kamara is back. Just good news overall for Jamal to have the Kendre Miller injury. Now, Damian says, rate the team / any moves. We have Allen, Richardson, Metcalf, Keenan Allen, Bijan, Montgomery, Laporta, and the flex Hopkins. On the bench, Swift, Pickett, Bigsby, Sutton, Everett, and Mostert. Okay, 2 QB format. Love the quarterbacks that we have. I'll just say in general, I definitely want to be seeing if we can get a better tight end. If we're not starting Mostert right away, then he is going to be a sell-high candidate. Let's go sell him to a team that has JT. Let's go sell him to a team that has Kamara. Let's go sell him to a team that actually needs some help at the position in the short term, whereas we don't, obviously. That's just my general thought on it. If we're not starting Raheem Mostert when it's like the best situation ever for him, and that situation can only really get worse, what do we have him on our team for? Why do we need this guy? Okay. Rodgers off the board at 134. I think if we go ahead and take Dalton Schultz, we're in a spot where we don't have to take another. Actually, would we rather take a running back? I think we'd actually rather take a running back. If you look at how the running back teardrops are based off how the running back landscape's changed overall, by the time that we're back up on the clock in round 13, running backs are going to be disgusting, right? We punted running back. We went with the 0 RB build here. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, and Tyler Lockett. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson. Tight end, we have Darren Waller. We also have Daniel Jones stacked up with Darren Waller. But running back, we're sitting with Akers, Rashad White, A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams up until this point. We definitely want another running back that can hopefully move the needle for us during the season. And those guys are going to fall those guys are going to go pretty quick. Now, John coming out with our next question. Thank you, my man. Says, 4-5 turn, pick any 2. We have Hopkins, Godwin, Rashad White, Sanders, Madison, James Conner, Hawkinson. Definitely Hawkinson here, my man. I think we go Hawkinson. If you really wanted to go with an RB, you go either Alexander Madison or Miles Sanders. And if you wanted to go with a wide receiver, I think you're going to be looking at Godwin. Well, actually, you can go Hopkins. It really does depend on your team. Go Hawkinson no matter what, unless you took a tight end already. And then I think it's, do you need a running back? If you need a running back, go Sanders, Madison. If you know wide receiver, go Godwin, Hopkins. Michael says, I have the second pick in a 10-team PBR draft. I really want Kelsey. Would that be too far of a reach? I'd say so. Maybe if it was like a 10-team league where you only have one flex spot where you're going to be able to get wide receivers and running backs later on, then sure. If it's a league with multiple flexes, you definitely can't. Now, Dub coming out says 12-team non-PBR. We have Dak, CMC, ETN, Ridley, Watson, Waller, Jamal. And then on the bench, Kamara, London, Pickens, Algier, Spears, Hunt, Love, Paris. Generally, I love going through and rostering as many running backs as possible in a non-PBR format. We are going to want to be starting those guys in the flex. Once Kamara is ready to come back, I would actually look to go ahead and sell Alvin Kamara. I think with Kamara, you can still roster him in a full PBR format based off his receiving down skill set. But I do think the touchdowns just simply aren't going to be there for Alvin Kamara as they were in previous seasons. But Thomas coming out says, love the stream. I'm in a 12-team PBR league where I went Tyreek, Amon-Ra, oh my gosh. Mahomes round 3, Keenan round 4, Dobbins, Miles Sanders, Judy Addison, with Jamal, Devon, A-Chain, trash tight end, and handcuff running back. Only thing I wouldn't love to see is like Keenan Allen round 4, we probably didn't need to do. Addison round 8, I wonder if we had a better value. Overall, I really like the team. Once we get Judy and Addison breaking out at least one of those guys, I would really like to see if we could like trade Keenan and go get an elite level tight ends. But we're going to have to wait until we have either a Judy or Addison breakout. Nice spot at the beginning of the season with Jamal, who we can start. Okay. So Roshan off 145. Komet goes 146. Now, Zabronsky coming out says 8-team PPR, 1 flex, pick 2. We have Kelsey, Mahomes, Jacobs, Walker, Smith, or how do we get this many players? Ridley, DJ Moore, Dobbins, James Cook, Addison, a great team. Great team. Having Mahomes, Kelsey just allows you to roster as many of those high upside running backs as possible. That's a great squad. Now, Adam Thielen off the board at 148. Let's swing this back around. Darnell Mooney, I don't know exactly what's been going on, but all I know is Darnell Mooney just always falls in these drafts now. And honestly, looking at the wide receivers versus running backs that are available for us, Makes me feel good about taking Damian Harris where we did, 136. Like, we needed another running back before they just completely fell off the earth. KJ Osborne goes 150. Gallup 151. Hell yeah. So we are going to get one of these wide receivers that we're following. We will take MVS, like I said, in your regular redraft format. I don't know if MVS really has the upside to ever move the needle. I'm not going to be so excited to go through and roster him. But in these underdog drafts where you don't have to actually predict when Marcus Valdes-Scantling is going to have his spike weeks, and instead it will just go ahead, randomly happen. It'll randomly slide into your starting lineup. I'm completely fine going through and taking him here at like 153. Jonathan Mingo goes 155. Okay. Jordan Love fell in the other draft too. Hodgins goes 156 over Hyatt. Deion Jackson off the board, 157. So the running backs will come back around to us will also just be very gross. So it's like, do we want to take Tajay Spears here as a gross option, or do we want to have to take grosser options later on? Regardless of anything you do, you're not going to feel good about it. Eric coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, Mason, what do you do about being light on running back early on? It's a 12-team PBR redraft league with one flex at pick 3. We have Kelsey, Jacobs, Hurts. What are you talking about? We have Jacobs, my man. We have the elite quarterback, the elite tight end. We have Jacobs, so we can roster as many running backs as possible. How are we weak? Amari, DJ Moore, JT, Lockett, London, Pickens, Flowers, Johnson, Warren, Devon, Achane, Damian Harris. Okay, so we are, the issue maybe is we're rostering. How many wide receivers are we rostering? Amari, DJ Moore, Lockett, London, Pickens, Flowers, Johnson. We're rostering 7 wide receivers. I think what you try to do is you try to take one of these wide receivers, such as like Zay Flowers or say Drake London, just any of these wide receivers in that tier. Make a 2-for-1 deal where we can upgrade in the starting lineup elsewhere, preferably at running back, of course. But even if not at running back, even if you just pair up 2 wide receivers and get a better wide receiver in return, essentially the goal being that way we can just go through and open up another roster spot. Because if you're weak on running back, I mean, obviously everybody's initial reaction is going to be, okay, let me go ahead and let me trade for a better RB. But a much easier way to go about it is just to use the advantage that you have of your elite level quarterback and your elite level tight ends to then go ahead and potentially just solve the position by just taking as many running backs as possible. And hopefully we have like a Raheem Mostert situation happening, right? Where a running back situation dramatically changes for the better, and all of a sudden we can actually go through and start that guy. So that's what I'm going to look at. I think you're in a great spot, obviously, especially for the long term once we get JT back. Captain Carpenter says, grade my starters, please. We got Herbert, Lamb, Wilson, Walker, Khalil Herbert, Hawkinson, Elijah Moore. 14-team league, this is good. If it was a 10-team format, I'd be ready to tell you it's trash, my man, but 14-team format, I like it. Exo says, love the streams. I'm in a 10-team full BBR format where we start 2 flexes. We have Fields, A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, D.J. Moore, Christian Watson, Elijah Moore, Jahan Dotson, Van Jefferson, running back JT, Pierce, P. Ryan, Warren. Oh, yeah, the thing is, guys, we can't be rostering this many wide receivers if our running back 2 is Samaje P. Ryan. If our running back 2 is Samaje P. Ryan, we can't have 7 wide receivers and 4 running backs on the team. Tight end, we have Njoku and Sam Laporta. Thoughts and potential upgrades. Maybe if you want to try to get some more running backs in, because that's the issue, right? Running back here. We either do this a couple different ways. 1, we package together, say, Dotson and Samaje P. Ryan to go try to get an upgrade at running back. 2, we cut Sam Laporta and we go try to pick up another running back off the waiver wire and solve the issue this way. Just please, everybody, take note. If you are in a league where you are going to be churning the waiver wire, particularly at the beginning of the season, we don't want to be rostering 7 wide receivers, 4 running backs if one of those running backs is JT, right? At least in my mind, my man. And when we have Njoku, there's no way in hell we're starting Sam Laporta over David Njoku like halfway through. Maybe halfway through the season, but especially not at the beginning of the year. Sam Laporta is more so like a tight end that I want to have on my watch list. And if anything changes, we can go ahead and pick him up. But in the 10-team league, by no means do I think that's someone that has to be rostered at the beginning of the season because it's going to take forever. Okay. Now Daniel says, hey Mason, in a 12-team full BBR and someone wants to trade me Garrett Wilson for Stephon Diggs. My current receivers are Diggs, Lamb, Dotson at the flex. What are your thoughts? I definitely would rather have Stephon Diggs over Garrett Wilson, my friend. Okay. Now Mac Jones off the board 176. What do we want to do? I think we maybe just take Greg Dulcich. Just take the third tight ends. Take someone that nobody wants. He's falling for all the right reasons. So obviously it doesn't feel good to take him, but I don't know. When in doubt, just say you don't know. Okay, let's move this over. And if you look at the teams after us, this team had one tight end. This team has 0 tight ends. So then you assume that some tight ends are off the board. Okay, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have to answer some of the donation questions and not be able to pull them up on the live stream itself. Actually, maybe we can. Let me just double check. No, I only have to answer one off of it. Good. This is coming out from Hardino. It says 12-team PPR, 1 flex. We have Hurts, Jacobs, Taylor, Diggs, Amari, Waller, Pittman. And then on the bench, we have Brian Robinson, Jamal, Singletary, Zay, Charbonnet. What are your thoughts? Who to start at running back 2? Love your videos, Mason. No, thank you so much. I actually really like this team where we have Taylor for the long-term upside, but we have Jamal Williams who we can easily start at the beginning of the season, right? With everything that's going on in that offense. So I really like this team. I really like the situation that you have. You have the elite level quarterback, a tight end that we feel very comfortable with. And while we do have Jonathan Taylor, which obviously is going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt at first, we do have we have the short-term solution while still maintaining the long-term upside. But let me show you all this team, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go ahead and we are going to be bouncing in to our next draft. It's going to be another Best Ball Mania draft. I don't know exactly what we're going to do here at the very end, but I will keep you all posted. But it's going to be a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first place, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and let's get into this bad boy. Okay. This may be like my last Best Ball Mania. I don't know. There's no way in hell I have that many left. But Caden coming out with our next question saying, 12-team app PBR, rate the squad, where we have Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, JT, Brian Robinson, P. Ryan Warren, Hunt, Roshan, Chase, Kirk, Dotson, Sutton, Sky, Mingo, and TJ Hawkinson. Love the elite quarterback. Love the elite level tight ends. Just can we get by with the running backs at the beginning of the season? I think we can with Mixon and Brian Robinson until we have JT coming back. But having Jamar Chase there holding down the fort at wide receiver helps a ton as well. What do you do, Bid? Coming out says, thanks for the advice, man. No, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream, my friend. And Captor coming out says, 12-team PBR, 1 flex. We have Chubb, Wilson, Najee, Mark Andrews, James Conner, Javonte, Dotson, JSN, Gabe Davis, Dak, Zeke, Tony, Zay Jones, Jonathan Mingo. What trades should I do? I don't really see any clear trades. I'd really like if somehow we could get like 2 Lamar Jackson from Dak Prescott at this league with only 4 points per passing touchdown. If we could trade like JSN and Dak or Jahan Dotson and Dak Prescott to go get Lamar Jackson, I'd really like that to pair up with Andrews. But outside of that, I don't necessarily think there's anything, my friend. I like it. Now, Matthew coming out says 12-team PBR, half PBR, where we have 1 flex, pick 11. Quarterback, we have Daniel Jones, Derek Carr. Running back, we have Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Walker, Khalil Herbert, Condre Miller. Wide receiver, we have DJ Moore, Drake London, Kadarius Toney, Elijah Moore, Jamison Williams. Tight end, we have Andrews and Goddard. What are your thoughts? Generally, we need better wide receivers than this, my man. I think Tony, Elijah Moore, they have upside. Hell, with Jamison Williams, you're not going to get anything at the beginning of the season. So I personally think that you need to go ahead and we need to be making a change at wide receiver. I think the easy answer to this will be to go ahead and trade away Dallas Goedert and try to get an upgrade at wide receiver that way. I mean, really, whenever we're already sitting here and we have, Mark Andrews, you don't even need a backup tight end, especially a backup tight end that good. So trade Goddard, try to get a wide receiver upgrade. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to get our guy in Bijan Robinson here. Y'all know I like taking players I want to root for, right? That's what we're trying to do. And KCDC coming out says 10 team full BBR, double flex. We have P9. Who the hell's P9? I'm being stupid. But Lamar, Pollard, Walker, Lamb, Amari, Higbee, Madison, Cooks. And then on the bench, Javonte, Flowers, Jacoby Myers, Mostert, Ferguson, Quentin Johnson, and Roschon Johnson. I'm fine if you want to roster 2 tight ends if Higbee's going to be your first guy. I like that we're rostering those guys like Mostert, Roschon at the very bottom end of the bench. Or maybe they do have upside to change their situations and increase in fantasy football value overall. Don't love having to start Brandon Cooks, but it's fine if we want to make that one consolidated bet on the Dallas Cowboys offense with CeeDee Lamb. So overall, I like the team. Okay, the Great Olive coming out says 10 team BBR, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We have Rodgers, Stafford. Running back, we have Gibbs, Pierce, James Cook, Warren. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill. Wait 1 second. Taking another. Who won that other draft? Oh, that's just gross. Okay, but going back to this, we have Rodgers, Stafford, a quarterback, so not a good quarterback room. Running back, we have Gibbs, Pierce, James Cook, Jalen Warren. Don't love the running backs. We have Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, Stephon Diggs, a wide receiver. Okay, this is where we spent all our capital. We went all in on wide receivers. We even have some upside guys down there on the bench. We have Darren Waller, tight end, and Hunter Henry. Trying to trade Waller and Higgins. Diggs for Kelsey, I'm assuming you're asking, or a better quarterback and stuff. I would rather go through and I would rather try to keep Waller. I think the play is to try to trade Jahan Dotson and a quarterback to get a quarterback upgrade. At least in my mind, that's what I'm going to look to go ahead and do, my friend. Because Waller still makes a fundamental difference with your lineup, but Dotson is your wide receiver 4. Someone else will be able to find more use for him in a league where you only have 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. But we're going to go ahead. We will get Davante Adams here at 19. Davante Adams, super easy selection to make at 19, right? Start off Bijan Adams. I'll be pumped about this in every draft. Steven says 10 team full BBR, 1 flex traded Hurts, Kenneth Walker, Goddard to get Lamar, Bijan, and Pitts. Very rarely do I say I like a deal where we traded away Jalen Hurts, but there I think it does make sense, my friend. Eric says super flex, Dak and James Cook for Lawrence. Yeah, let's go get Lawrence. Isaac says, hey Mason, 10 team PBR. We have Geno, Kamara, Pollard, Gibbs, Walker, Jamal, Zach Charbonnet, wide receiver. We have Diggs, Ridley, Mike Williams, Drake, Jason, Flowers, Hawkinson, tight end, projected second to last somehow. Then we have a lot of running back depth, a lot of wide receiver depth issues. We just don't have a good wide receiver, right? Like if you go through and package together like Drake London and Geno Smith and get a quarterback that we like better, Go get Dak, go get Lawrence, go get Watson, go get Fields, go get someone like that. Derek says, I had Lamar in the first team where I had 2 flexes and Allen on the second team with 1 flex. Al, I knew you had the elite level quarterback, my man. I remember that. Okay. But Deebo Samuel going 36. So, if we see some of these values continue to fall to us, this could be a very interesting draft. Allen goes 27. Allen would have been our pick if he would have made it, of course. Y'all know I like getting me that elite level QB. Okay. Rusty has CMC Ridley out the gate. What are you doing here, my friend? Goes Andrews 28. I'm not looking at Andrews, to be honest with you. I was not thinking Andrews here. Well, I went Tyreek and Chris Olave with their first 2 picks. What do they do? They go Lamar. Now, Lamar was my plan, but yeah, I'm not going to complain about getting T. Higgins at pick 30. The amount of teams that will get Higgins at this price point in Best Ball Mania, very slim. Also, you'll see that the Jamar Chase team did take Jalen Hurts, so they probably aren't going to go Joe Burrow. So we can potentially get Burrow on the way back around at pick 54 if we really want to get greedy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, we're about to hit 1,000 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like. We've been live for about 5.5 hours today if you include our other live stream. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. We're live streaming every single day until 2024. And of course, if you want to get into our next draft with us, it is on Underdog Fantasy. It's where we're drafting every single day on the live stream. Best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted 700 teams, won $150,000 last year on Underdog. And if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, we get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find all our premium content. And now is the best time to get on Underdog Fantasy because you are also going to be able to take advantage of a site-wide special with Patrick Mahomes more than less than half a total yard Thursday night against the Lions. There's also a mystery special pick'em for new members of Underdog Fantasy. Week 1, never seen 2 special pick'ems in the same week. But week 1, there's also a Flock exclusive special pick'em. Josh Allen more than less than half a passing yard as well. Only with promo code FLOCK, you're going to be getting all 3 of those. So please make sure you're taking advantage of that. Never seen anything like it before. But Benny says, hey, Mason, 10 TPBR pick 10 started Burrow, Lamb, Higgins, Amari, Chubb, Dobbins. What should we be looking to do next? I think we just keep on a well-balanced team. Don't draft another quarterback. Love the Burrow and Higgins stack. Obviously, if we can get a tight end that we like at a value, we do it. But great team. Idiot Enigma coming out says 16-team double flex PPR. We have Tua at quarterback. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Watson, Dotson, Sky Moore, Van Jefferson. Running back, we have Barkley, Gibson, Deion Jackson, Bigsby. This is actually a great team in a 16-team format. 16-team format, generally it's so much harder to find running back and wide receiver values that I personally go through and I personally look to punt tight ends. But yeah, I'm surprised that you're able to have a team that strong. Matthew says 12-team full BBR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex, 1 tight end. We have Fields at quarterback. Wide receiver, we have Hills, St. Brown, Olave, London, JSN, Mims. Running back, we have Javonte, Brees, JT, Mostert, Charbonnet. Tight end, we have Kincaid and Greg Dulcich. I don't know if Mims does anything for this team. I think we probably cut Mims for another running back off the waiver wire, but outside of that, I'm fine having Kincaid and Dulcich on the same roster. And yeah, I love having the elite level quarterback, like the running backs and wide receivers at the very top. I think just when you have Brees, JT on the same team, probably don't want to be rostering someone like Mims. Probably want to be rostering as many running backs as you possibly can. Now, so far in this draft, we have Bijan Robinson at running back. Wide receiver, we have Adams and T. Higgins. London goes 41. Cherry says 10-team league, 3 wide receivers, a super flex, and 1 flex. We have Lamar Goff, Diggs, St. Brown, Allen, Evans, Thomas, Mooney, Flowers, Jameson. Running back, we have Henry, Williams, Connor, Cook, Devon Achane, tight end, we have Andrews. Okay, great team if we have the Lamar Andrews stack. Generally, I'm not looking to roster Jameson Williams at this point of the year, but I mean, if you really wanted to, you can. But yeah, great squad overall. I mean, we go pretty much all in on that Baltimore Ravens offense by having Lamar, Andrews, and Zay Flowers. But I love this team. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Travis Etienne, pick 43. Etienne, one of my most drafted running backs on Underdog since we get him around 4 all offseason. Jacob says, rate the best ball team now that I have 3 tight ends. Lamar, Stafford, Mixon, JK, Kamara, Gibson, Zeke, Kupp, Hopkins, Bateman, Odell, Higbee, Hurst, likely. Is this a winner? My man. Wide receiver is going to be tough. If somehow we have a couple of those wide receivers dramatically exceeding expectations, then maybe, but we really need those wide receivers taking a step forward. It's just so much harder to draft a team on Underdog than it is like a regular like ESPN draft. On ESPN, like if we look at everybody's redraft teams, like, oh, this was drafted on ESPN with my high school buddies. It's like, okay, this is the best team I've ever seen in my entire life. Versus whenever we look at someone that drafts a team on Underdog, obviously you're not going to be getting those crazy values. And it's just so much harder. Which is like why it's such good practice, though. Okay. Let's move this around. Herbert goes 51. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are more likely than not going to be getting Joe Burrow to pair up with T. Higgins This team has no Cincinnati Bengals. Never mind, they take Joe Burrow. Spoke too soon. This team has Lamar, Tyreek, Olave, and Mike Williams. Interesting spot to put us in. Maybe we go ahead and take Christian Kirk and see if we can get Lawrence on the way back around. So I figured that team was going to take Hawkinson. Will Mixon, Taylor. We haven't drafted Taylor since the day the news broke. And in those drafts, we took him 57 and 60. Y'all know in all the high stakes drafts, we were passing on Jonathan Taylor. Reason being is you're not getting the ADP edge that you had at the beginning of the offseason. But similar to what we were talking about with like Cooper Kupp, where we took Cooper Kupp in the last draft, specifically in these best ball mania drafts that have been open since April. It's a $25 buy-in, $3 million first place prize where we are trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17. There's some merit in going through and taking like Taylor in round 5 whenever every other team essentially took Taylor in rounds 1 and 2 and essentially just being able to crush the rest of the field with the value. But I wouldn't do this in your regular fantasy football draft. I wouldn't do this in a new tournament on Underdog, but specifically in Best Ball Mania, $25 buy-in, $3 million first place prize where these tournaments have been open since April. I think you mix it in. Okay, now Andrew says, 12-team at BBR double flex, Watson, Bijan, James Cook, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Olave, DK, Hawkinson, Jamal, Pickens, Mostert, Quentin Johnson, Jameson Williams. Any moves or things I should be aware of? If you can't put Jameson Williams on your IR, I think we cut Jameson. Like the thing is, it's going to be so hard for you to make waiver wire moves at the beginning of the season, my man. Andrew says 12-team full BBR where we have 2 flexes. We have Lamar, Daniel Jones. Probably don't need Daniel Jones. Etienne, Pierce, Kamara, Mostert, Zeke, Hunt, Warren. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Olave, Evans, Hodgins. Tight end, we have Pitts. If we could potentially find like a spike week from Daniel Jones earlier in the season and then go through and look to sell him high, possibly package him with like Hodgins, see if we can get a better wide receiver, I think that'd be interesting. Good team, though. I like how we're light on wide receiver depth, but instead have the elite level receivers. Now, Pugman coming out to say, Mason, 12-team non-PPR, 6-point passing touchdown. We have Herbert, Hill, Hopkins, Hollywood, Sutton, Thielen. Running back, we have Jacobs, Gibbs, Sanders, Kamara. Tight end, we have Higbee, Musgrave. Go Pack. I'm completely fine with us doing that, but in general, if it's going to be a non-PPR format, you really need to be incentivized to push running backs up. I will also say in that non-PPR format, you're going to be a little bit more willing to go ahead and see if we can get some kind of value for Jahmyr Gibbs. Like Gibbs and those running back receiving specialists obviously have a lot of value in full PPR formats based off their receiving down skill sets. But it's going to be much, much tougher to get by with like Jahmyr Gibbs in a non-PPR format where you're just looking for touchdowns. And Montgomery possibly has the red zone role. Now, CR says 10-team PPR format where we have Allen, Robinson, Gibbs, Olave, Ridley, Lamb, and Pitts. On the bench, we have Taylor, Jameson, Dobbins, Dotson, Charbonnet. Should I trade Taylor and Gibbs for Saquon? One flex league, I'm okay if you want to do this. Just because of one flex league, I mean, depth doesn't really matter, right? I would rather, if we can do Taylor and Dobbins for Saquon, I think that's a no-brainer. 10-team, one flex league. Ryan says 10-team PBR, Lamar. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Kupp, Watson, Dotson. Running back, we have CMC, Sanders. Tight end, we have Hawkinson. Oh, this is a great team. Great team. I don't even think you have to do anything with this roster. I'm fine having the wide receiver depth for the time being when we're waiting for Cooper Kupp to come back. Great squad. Devin says, Mason, you're the GOAT. Finished second last year thanks to you all, my man. You probably would have finished first if it wasn't for me. But 12-team PBR, we have Kirk, CMC, Gibbs, Waddle, Higgins, Kmet, Watson. On the bench, we have Hall, JT, Mike Williams, Adam Thielen, Greg Dulcich, Tua, and Dobbs. What are your thoughts? We just have to have more running backs on the bench, my man. Wait, guys, everybody, we can't be rostering all these guys like Adam Thielen, Romeo Dobbs. I mean, just all these players that are really never going to move the needle for us, especially if we have Hall and JT at running back. So typically, I would just go ahead, drop Adam Thielen, see if we can pick up another running back off the waiver wire. If this is our quarterback, if this is our tight end, I'm fine with us rostering 2 QBs and 2 tight ends in this format. Definitely just don't want to be rostering someone like Adam Thielen, where Adam Thielen, like an underdog league, maybe can help you out. But in like your regular redraft format where you have access to the waiver wire, he's never really going to make a difference for you. Okay, so running back, we have Bijan, Etienne, and Jonathan Taylor. Wide receiver, we have Adams, Higgins, and Tyler Lockett. Kamara off the board at 74. Okay. Now, Freddie says, week 1, 6-point passing touchdown format. Are we going to go Dak or Fields? Opponent has Cooks and Lambs. Lamb, smash the like, boys. Well, thank you so much for coming out, my man. Still probably go Fields. I'll definitely say Dak's going to be a lot closer in that league where you are getting 6 points per passing touchdown format, where we would assume that Dak obviously has more passing touchdowns than Fields. But if Fields has 60 rushing yards, like, it's going to be hard for Dak to make up with that. Now, Two Shot says, was the 10th pick in a 10-team PBR league where we have Fields, Robinson, Walker, Lamb, Olave, Pitts, Devonta Smith. On the bench, we have Akers, Richardson, London, Juju, Jameson, or Jamal possibly. Charbonnet, Darnell Mooney. What are your thoughts? Well balanced at the very top at running back versus wide receiver. I'm fine if we have Richardson as long as we look to sell high on Richardson the second we get an opportunity. I like the team overall. We're going to go ahead and we'll take Akers again. I mean, I don't know why Akers has been falling so much in these drafts. But like I said, it's harder to find running back values later on in drafts than it used to be. Okay. Ryan says, got CMC at the 8th. Oh my gosh, man. How the hell does that even happen? Like, who goes? I'm assuming if it's a super flex league, not nearly as impressive as you're letting on. But in a one quarterback format, I have no idea how that happens. Nick says, full BBR 4-point passing touchdown league, pick 3. We have Hurts, Gibbs, James Cook, Hill, Godwin, Goddard, Swift. On the bench, Sutton, Sky Moore, Zeke, Thielen, Devon Achane, Jake Ferguson, Jalen Hyatt. Drop Jalen Hyatt, drop Adam Thielen. These guys aren't going to do anything for you unless maybe it's a league where you start 3 to 4 wide receivers. But in reality, you're much better off just rostering high upside running backs and just churning those waiver wire options throughout pretty much every single week. Really like the elite level quarterback, like that we have him stacked up with Goddard as well. Like the team overall. It's just those guys at the very bottom, man. I don't want to have. Okay. Now, Brady says, happy BR, 12-team, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex. We have Allen, Hill, St. Brown, Watson, Quentin Johnson, Rondo Moore, Jalen Hyatt. Cut Jalen Hyatt. Running back, we have Walker, White, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Jarrett McKinnon. Tight end, we have Hawkinson. Great team. I'd love it if we could trade like Amon-Ra St. Brown in a small piece. Like, go try to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown and, Jalen Hyatt to go get Stephon Diggs. I would love that. Okay, now we have a run on running backs here with Swift going 83, Montgomery going 84. So looks like running backs won't be too appealing on the way back around for us. Obviously, we don't need RB. We have Bijan, Etienne, Taylor, and Akers. And the only way this team wins $3 million is if JT is good, right? Like, we can't be thinking about the outside chance that JT is not any good. Kadarius Toney off the board 85. Early for Toney, but I mean, how he's playing. Sutton goes 86. And Scott says 10-team full BBR where we start 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. We have Lamar, Bijan, Jacobs, Allen, Amari, Mixon, Pitts. And then on the bench, we have Judy, Pickens, Lazard, Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Warren, Rashad Penny. Thoughts / any moves? No, I really like how we're rostering those guys at the bottom end, like Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Warren, Rashad Penny, players that are an injury away from actually having a very high ceiling and moving the needle for us. It's what I'm trying to get everybody else to do here, my man, especially in a league where you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Love the team. Love the way that we've constructed it. Okay, so yeah, Brian Robinson going 87, Sky Moore off the board at 88. Okay, plan A, plan B, plan C in mind here, ladies and gentlemen. Hollywood goes. So then we're going to go ahead. We will take Brandon Cooks. This will give us the possibility to take Dak Prescott if we get Dak at a value later on. And generally, when we have no quarterbacks, no tight ends so far, this far into the draft, we are probably going to have to take 3 of each position, which is never something that I'm trying to do. So, yeah, let's get a wide receiver so we can at least get Dak, someone that we like. Easy Eddie, long time. Remember the vlog coming out, says 12-team double point PPR format. Pick 9. Hopefully in this league, we slam wide receivers. We have Allen, Jacobs, Stevenson. Stevenson makes a lot of sense. James Cook makes a lot of sense. These guys that are going to catch the ball. P. Ryan, Roschon, Spears, Kupp, 3 days early. Deontay, Dotson, Sky Moore, JSN, Kincaid, and a trash tight end as well. I mean, I think that we're in a very good spot. Love the Allen tight end stack that we have. It really all comes down to Cooper Kupp, right? I mean, more times than not, we're going to be wanting to go through and play a wide receiver in the flex spot in a double PPR format. With that being said, the running backs that we did grab are going to be those guys catching the ball, which you love to see. Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing there, my friend. And Eric says, hey, Mason, 10-team PPR where we have Hurts, Chubb, Stevenson, Chase, Evans, Pickens, Hawkinson. On the bench, we have Swift, Sky Moore, Odell, Warren, Mims, Devon Achane, wide receiver 2 help. No, you're good. You have Mike Evans, my man. What are we talking about? We got George Pickens as well. You're in a great spot. I think we keep the starting lineup the same. And we have wide receivers with upside down there on the bench that maybe break out for us. Okay. Bergs goes pick 100. Is this the team ahead of us take Tyreek? I think they did, right? Unless I'm mistaken. I think this is the Tyreek team. Yeah, this is the Tyreek team. So I think we assume they go Tua. Of course, I could always be wrong. Yeah, they go Tua. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Anthony Richardson. We can get Anthony Richardson unstacked based off his rushing upside. And if we get Dak Prescott on the way back around, we'll potentially be in a spot where we only have to take 2 quarterbacks. Now, of course, this team goes through and takes Dak Prescott unstacked for whatever reason, but it is what it is. And we could still look at a couple different quarterbacks that we want. And that's why we go Anthony Richardson, right? Because when we have an unstacked Richardson, I mean, we just get so much flexibility where if we really need to take Alec Pierce later on, we can. But, I mean, we're primarily betting on the rushing upside of Richardson. Now, Eric says, no, I think we already answered that one. Valon coming out says, thoughts on a 10-team league where we have Richardson, Daniel Jones, like that quarterback pairing, CMC, Sanders, St. Brown, Waddle, Andrews, Williams. Hey, great team. Great team. Generally, I don't want to be drafting 2 quarterbacks in your regular redraft format, but if like Cousins is your first guy and we have the long-term upside with Anthony Richardson as well, I think it does make a lot of sense. But Young Lock coming out says, 12-team league double flex where we have Lamar, Jacobs, Walker, Smith, Wilson, Hawkinson, Sanders, Dobbins. And then on the bench, we have Pittman, Dotson, Damian Harris, Rice, Spears, Roschon. What are your thoughts on the team? Love what we're doing down there on the bench, primarily focusing on high upside guys like Damian Harris, Tajee Spears, Roschon Johnson, where maybe their situation changes week 1. We're going to be a little bit more excited about them. I don't necessarily think we're going to do too much. If it was a 1-flex league, I'll try to trade Pittman and Hawkinson for Andrews. But double flex league, I want a little more wide receiver depth in general. I guess when we have Dotson, if you really wanted to trade Pittman and Hawkinson for Andrews to get the stack with Lamar, I think you could do that. But overall, great team. Great team. Jared says 10-team PPR double flex, no tight end. We have Burrow, Pierce, Connor, Javonte, Pirine. Wide receiver, AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Sky Moore, Rondale Moore. Tight end, we have Kelsey and Kittle. My man, you know what I'm going to say. We got to trade Kittle here. Or Kelsey. Trade Kelsey for CMC if we can get him. Or actually, if you're telling me you don't need to start a tight end, trade Kelsey for Diggs. Trade Kelsey for St. Brown. Trade Kelsey for Garrett Wilson. Trade George Kittle for Deontay Johnson. Cam Akers. If you don't need to start a tight end, my man, we have no business in rostering both those tight ends. Obviously, you can still get a lot for them in trade based off their name brand, but that's what I'd be looking at. Now, Nico Collins off the board, 113. Okay, a couple different thoughts of what we can do here. Kincaid goes. So we either go Zach Charbonnet and be done. No, I'm not going to do that. I want to only have to draft 2 QBs. We took Tyler Lockett, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Geno Smith here as well to get to Geno Lockett stack. We know we have to take 3 tight ends no matter what in this draft, so I want to be in a position where we only have to draft 2 quarterbacks. I don't want to be drafting 3 tight ends and 3 quarterbacks. So taking Geno Smith gives us that little bit of flexibility, while I definitely would have preferred to have Dak Prescott on the way back around. Geno still correlates with our team. And Zach Charbonnet, great value at this point, but roster construction, it doesn't change much for us. Dustin coming out says 10-team PPR, 2 keepers equal Chase and Olave. We have Burrow to start with Chase, Henry, Kincaid, Mike Williams, and then on the bench we have James Cook, Jahan Dotson, Rashad White, Flowers, Sky Moore, Roschon. My man, with this kind of running back with depth, you can go get a better tight end. I think that's the play. I think we try to trade away Rashad White with Dalton Kincaid, who I really like the upside of in the long term. The issue is just in the short term. I mean, I don't even know if we can start Dalton Kincaid. It's like a rookie tight end that's never played a game, right? So if we're going to have to go through and roster multiple tight ends, I'd way rather just like try to trade James Cook and get that situation sorted out. Okay. Let's move this back around. So we're not looking at quarterback anymore. I think, honestly, I'd rather have Cousins over Geno straight up. But it's more like, okay, we'll take Cousins whenever we have Jefferson, Addison, or Hawkinson. We'll go Geno whenever we have Lockett. Now, Brian says, am I in trouble? I took Kupp at the 218. Kelsey is the keeper. It's a league where we start 3 wide receivers in a flex. We have Watson, Stevenson, James Cook, DJ, Godwin, JSN, Charbonnet, Dillon, Devon H. No, I think you're fine. I mean, it's going to be tough at the beginning of the season, especially with so many of the rookie wide receivers that are probably not going to do anything for us early on. But, I mean, we're looking for that long-term upside, and You're taking a lot of risk with Kupp, but I think you have a high ceiling as well. What do we want to do here, ladies and gentlemen? We will take Rashad Penny as our 5th running back. If you look at what the teardrops are now, I mean, we talked about this every single draft tonight, but running late round running back is not nearly as appealing now as it used to be. We'll go Penny. We'll stop drafting RBs here. We'll put ourselves in a position where we don't have to deal with the nasty values at the end of the draft just based off how the overall board has changed over the past month. But Frankie says 10-team at PBR, Burrow, Chase, Keenan, Etienne, Mixon, Breece Hall, Ingram as starters. Benches Dotson, Odell, Burks, Elijah Mitchell, Purdy. How did I do? I like the team. There's no reason to roster Brock Purdy, though. If we have Burrow, I mean, you're pretty much just having a quarterback handcuff in case Burrow goes down for someone to start. You can always go to the waiver wire in that instance if we really need someone in a 10-team league. So I would drop Purdy. I'll try to pick up a high upside running back, but I like the team overall. I love the Burrow Chase stack. Deep says 10-team at PBR super flex. We have Lamar, Goff, Sam Howell. Saquon Barkley, Alexander Madison, James Conner, Samaje Perine, wide receiver. We have Lamb, Higgins, Amari, Evans, Judy, Frymuth. What are your thoughts? Like the team, obviously we're waiting for Judy to come back in the long term. We have a lot of depth at running back. I'd really like if we could go through and potentially package together, say, like James Conner and Jerry Judy once Judy's back, or James Conner and Mike Evans, when Mike Evans is back, to go through and get that upgrade at RB. But we're going to have to wait until we have Judy back, specifically so we have a little bit more depth to make that 2-for-1 deal. But Double M coming out says 14-team PBR 1 flex. Starters are Lawrence, Bijan, Stevenson, Lamb, Ridley, Kincaid, Lockett. On the bench, we have Cousins, Algier, Breece Hall, Gabe Davis, Romeo Dobbs. Got Breece for James Cook and Odell. Oh my gosh, a beautiful deal. 14-team league, going to be a little bit harder to make that 2-for-1 deal just because depth's going to be a little harder to come by. For that reason, I'm not going to throw a fit about you rostering Kirk Cousins as a backup quarterback. I think it's fine. And yeah, great move for, someone that we don't even need at the beginning of the season. We can just roster him for his long-term upside. Harris goes 135. So obviously at this point, we're kind of wanting to see RBs go. If we have both Elijah Mitchell as well as Devon Achane making it back to us, not going to be feeling good about my decision to go through and take Rashad Penny where we did. Like if Elijah Mitchell makes it back to us at 139, I will feel bad about our decision to take Rashad Penny. Gainwell goes 137. Elijah Mitchell goes. So we're just going to go ahead and take Jacoby Myers, right? No tight ends available to us at this point. Tight end definitely is something that we could look at. But we're just wide receiver and tight end. So if we were going to take someone, it would be taking Cole Kmet, ADP 149, in comparison to Jacoby Myers, ADP 129. But I'm Johnny Days coming out and says 12-team full BBR, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. Had pick 9, Mahomes, Bijan, Swift, Olave, London, Godwin, Andrews. And then on the bench, we have Sutton, Kamara, Perine, Bigsby, Jacoby Myers, Rondale Moore, Tajay Spears, Luke Musgrave, Russell Wilson. What are your thoughts? I would definitely drop Russ. There's no reason to roster Russ and Mahomes on the same team. I'd say the same thing with Luke Musgrave. It'd be a little bit different if, actually, maybe, let me reevaluate. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, if you have 9 guys on the bench, I'm fine with you going through and rostering these 2 players. Most benches are going to be a little bit shallower than this. Let's say if you're in another league where you have to start 3 wide receivers and 1 flex, and you have Mahomes and Andrews, you're not rostering a backup quarterback, backup tight end. Here, it's going to be okay. I don't think we have a lot of depth overall at running back, wide receiver, but at least we have the top end talent. And obviously, when we're locked in with Mahomes and Andrews, we just have to be okay at quarterback and wide receiver, right? If we're okay at quarterback and wide receiver, we're going to be crushing our league mates. Komet goes 145. Beast Mode says, drop Zay Jones for Roshan. If it's a shallow redraft format, yeah, I would. If it's just our last roster spot, there'll always be like a wide receiver on the waiver wire. Obviously, in like an underdog draft, I'd rather have Zay Flowers because we're looking for the median projection and not the upside there. We're just wide receiver, tight end through the rest of this draft, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Digby Dingus coming out and says, hey, Mr. Flock, 8-team league. We have Hurts, Daniel Jones at quarterback. Running back, we have CMC, Gibbs, Walker, Kamara. Wide receiver, we have Adams, A.J. Brown. Oh, great team. Keenan Allen, Godwin, London, Dotson, and tight end, we have Hawkinson and Evan Ingram. I would love to take a wide receiver like Godwin and Hawkinson to see if we can get to, say, Mark Andrews. I'd love to get go Keenan Allen and Hawkinson to see if we can get to Kelsey. 8-team format, elite level tight end is going to be the primary thing that moves the needle because everybody's going to have great wide receivers and running backs. We already have the quarterback 1 overall, so generally that's what I'm going to be looking to do, my friend. Now, I would have loved to take Michael Gallup, just considering the fact if we would have taken Gallup, we could have paired him up with Brandon Cooks and essentially make a consolidated bet that the Dallas Cowboys passing offense was either better than people expected, or maybe CeeDee Lamb went down with an injury and both guys crushed. But, I mean, hell, we'll get Juwan Johnson. We'll get our first tight end off the board here, nonetheless. Okay. Smooth this over. And Chris says 12-team PBR league with 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. We have Fields, Gibbs, Connor, Tyreek, Lamb, Evans, Gibson, Kmet. Tight end's kind of trash, but I mean, we went through and we stacked it with Justin Fields, so it's going to be fine. We have the elite level wide receivers, which I'm fine with if we're going to be in a league where we can start 4 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis, right? Okay. Let's move this down. You have Osborne 151, Hyatt going 152 right after. So, I mean, generally, like I said, going on, we are looking at wide receivers. M&E says 12-team at PBR 1 flex. I have the 12th pick. Watson, Henry, Pollard, Debo, Godwin, Waller, Pierce. And then on the bench, we have London, Brandon Cooks, Cortland Sutton, as well as Raheem Mostert. I'd love to trade I'd love to trade like Sutton and Waller to go out there and get Andrews, but that's just me. Great team. I mean, what I've noticed is a lot of leagues that are just like regular casual ESPN drafts, like just your regular redraft leagues, seems like Deshaun Watson goes at like a phenomenal price tag. Seems like Watson is just so reasonable for people to draft. Russell Wilson's been falling like a rock as of late, as he should be. We're going to be looking at wide receivers and tight ends. Obviously, Alec Pierce is in play for us. Also, some of these tight ends are as well. Russ goes 159. Sam Howell goes perfect for us to see these quarterbacks getting drafted, right? It's like the primary thing that we're wanting to see. Everett off the board, 161. Ferguson goes. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Alec Pierce. We'll get Alec Pierce stacked up with Anthony Richardson. Like I said, whenever we take Richardson, we're primarily drafting him for his rushing upside. So not going to be sitting here crying if we don't get Alec Pierce. I mean, I'm not even a big Alec Pierce guy. But Alec Pierce does have the field stretching ability where maybe, just maybe, he has a couple random spike weeks. And obviously, we're primarily taking him because we need a wide receiver. We have Anthony Richardson as well. And AJ coming out says 6th pick, 12-team full BBR, 4-point passing touchdown format. We have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. We have Watson, Mixon, Jay Williams, JT Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Evans, Kelsey, Dotson. Okay, thank God we have Kelsey. I mean, generally, if we have this kind of depth, I'd love to see if we can get upgraded at running back. Like, if we can package together, say, like Javonte Williams and Jahan Dotson to go get a better running back in a league where we only have 1 flex, I'd like that. But great team. I don't think you have to do anything. Okay. Now, Austin coming out says, hey, Mason, 12-team at PBR, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I have the 101. Quarterback, I have Herbert. Running back, we have Gibbs, Khalil Herbert, Tank Bigsby, Kenneth Gainwell. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Olave, Lockett, Deontay Flowers, JSN, Mingo, Rice. I don't like having this many. Tight end, Higbee. I punted tight end. What are your thoughts? Just in general, I'm fine rostering a couple of these high upside wide receivers down there that are rookies, right? Like having JSN, Flowers. These are guys that can fundamentally break out at the end of the year and change your team like Garrett Wilson. But when you're going to go through and we're going to stack on so many players where you're also adding on Jonathan Mingo, Rashee Rice, where the bottom 4 spots on our roster are rookie wide receivers where you don't expect anything at the beginning of the year, it's just going to make it so hard for us from a week-to-week perspective to make plays on the waiver wire that generally if we have those top-level rookies like JSN and Flowers, I'm not going to be looking to add on Rice and Mingo. I think we'd rather drop those and look for more running backs off the waiver wire instead. But outside of that, great team in terms of the overall talent profile, but just no reason to roster those guys, especially if we have Jefferson and Olave at the very top. Like Mingo and Rice are never doing anything for you there. Okay, Donovan Peoples-Jones goes off the board as well. We'll continue to take the nastiest tight end option in fantasy football right now. We'll go ahead and we'll get Greg Dulcich here at 174. And we'll just say, okay, well, I need a tight end. He's the value. But Zinowin says, might go your route to draft Bijan. 12-team map PBR double flex pick 4. Do you think my team would suffer from not taking someone like Hill, Eckler, Kelsey? I mean, I've been taking Bijan Robinson over Austin Eckler myself. Now, of course, I'm very biased. You do you. But with that being said, if it's a double flex league, I think you can go Tyreek Hill or one of the running backs. I think in a double flex league, you're a little less inclined to go Kelsey. Ty says 10-team PBR format where we have one quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, tight end, 2 flex. We better have slammed wide receivers, my man. Fields, Diggs, Lamb, Higgins. Hell yes, that's exactly what we wanted to see. Sanders, Hawkinson, Evans, Pacheco. On the bench, we have Dak, Elijah Moore, Zay Flowers, Brian Robinson, Zeke, Quinn Johnson, Mooney Gallup. Exactly what I wanted to see. We have a great tight end. We have a great quarterback, but we did not sacrifice wide receiver. In a full PBR format, if you can start up to 5 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis and only have to play 1 running back, there's no reason to prioritize running back depth. Just go get wide receiver there. The True King says 10-team PBR, get Chase, JT, James Cook for Bijan and Calvin Ridley. There's more value on the Bijan and Ridley side right now, my man. There's more. Now, Jacob says 10-team, full PBR. Fields, Jacobs, Pierce, Herbert, Hunt, Warren, Mitchell, Chase, St. Brown, London, Pittman, Burks, Collins. Tight end, we have Kittle. Well-balanced team top to bottom. I don't think we're rostering too many wide receivers. We have a tight end with a lot of upside. We have a quarterback with a lot of upside. Let's hope that Kittle's good to go week 1. Let's hope that he actually does something because I've drafted a lot of Kittle as well, my man. Ethan says 12-team full PBR where we have Justin Herbert, CMC, Madison, A.J. Brown, Olave, Higbee, Mike Williams on the bench, JT, Sutton, Sky Moore, Elijah Moore, Zach Charbonnet, Aaron Rodgers, and Nico Collins. Don't really think we need Rodgers here. I mean, if it's a little bit of a deeper bench, I'm fine with it. But I mean, at running back, after CMC, Madison, at least in the short term, we really have nobody, right? After CMC and Madison, in the short term, our only other running back really is Zach Charbonnet. So I'd probably rather, instead of rostering like Nico Collins, Aaron Rodgers, I'd rather just take shots on RBs. Okay. Now, Gus Edwards off the board, 186. We're going to take Dawson Knox. I know most people are taking Taysom Hill over him. I'd rather have Knox. And let me see if I can get us in another draft tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am assuming I'm about to max out Best Ball Mania very soon. I may have already maxed it out. Let's see. No, we're in. We're in. Beginning in another Best Ball Mania draft, $25 buy-in draft on Underdog. $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first place. Got 16th place last year in Best Ball Mania for $10,000, but we are looking to get first place for the $3 million this year. Okay, we're going to be at the very end of this draft. Where are we at? 10, 11, or 12? I'm going to call 11. God, I'm smart. There we go. Okay, so I think we've drafted, pretty much across the entire board on today's live stream. But going over to John says 12-team at PBR double flex where we have Watson, Barkley, Najee, Diggs, Christian Watson, Andrews, DJ Chark, and then on the bench, Brees, Judy, Elijah Moore, Nico Collins. Any moves? No moves in the short term. We just kind of have to sit on our hands and wait until we get Brees Hall, Jerry Judy. Going at 100%, but long-term upside, I think this team has a lot of upside. And I like that we're not having to go through and roster a backup quarterback or backup tight end because we have Watson and Andrews. Now, Max says 12-team PBR, Hill, Adams, Hurts, Sanders, Walker, Connor, Evans, Swift, Schultz, and Bateman. So we have the elite level wide receivers at the very top. We have the elite level quarterback. Really the lacking spot's going to be the top end production at running back, but when we're so strong elsewhere, I'm fine with it. So I want to roster as many running backs as possible. And if we have Schultz as our tight end 1, I'm fine rostering 2 tight ends as well, but really like the team. Tommy says, should I flex Addison, Evans, or Khalil Herbert? I'm going to go Mike Evans there, my friend. We're going to go Mike Evans. Okay. Now, C. Matthews on the clock. Let's get this party started. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get into our next draft with us, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, the next night, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat. Find it in the description. If you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find all our premium content. And also, now is the best time to be hopping on to Underdog. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. Side draft 700 teams, $150,000. And they have a site-wide special for Patrick Mahomes week 1, more than less than half a total yard against the Detroit Lions. On top of this, they have a new customer offer with an additional mystery special pick'em week 1 for new people on Underdog Fantasy. And only with promo code FLOCK are you also going to get a Josh Allen exclusive pick'em Monday night, more than less than half a passing yard. Underdog has never had, at least I have never seen 2 special pick'ems in the same week, let alone 3. But you're only going to get all 3 with promo code FLOCK, so please make sure you're taking advantage. But Gooch coming out says 12-team full BBR where we have Mahomes, Waddle, Jamar Chase, Stevenson, Dalvin, Waller, Mike Williams, David Montgomery, Addison, McKinnon, Condre Miller, Sky Moore, Tyler Boyd. Worried about RB. I'd say running back's not great, but I mean, if you're worried about running back, you can't be rostering Sky Moore, Tyler Boyd down there at the bottom. You know? I mean, Sky Moore looks fine with him being an every down player and everything, but it's just more so like if we're worried about running back, please don't be rostering so many wide receivers. I think we're going to be fine at RB since we have David Montgomery as an RB3. Yeah, I think we're going to be fine, actually. We're going to be fine with that team. It's a little bit more nervous because you snuck Montgomery in there in the middle after Waller and Williams. Okay, Lamb goes 9. Let's swing this back around. Stephon Diggs goes 10. So let's take A.J. Brown here at 11. What is MP3 Yanks doing? Goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tony Pollard. So we're going to do something I would not recommend you to do in your main fantasy football league. Ladies and gentlemen, I would rather have Davante Adams. I would rather have Garrett Wilson straight up over Cooper Kupp at this point. But with that being said, it's a $25 buy-in. It's a $3 million first place prize where we are highly incentivized to go through and try to have a unique team where we do not compromise upside. The amount of teams in this overall tournament that will be able to pair up A.J. Brown and Cooper Kupp, very slim. The amount of teams that will have A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson on the same roster, there'll be a lot. So we're doing this to be unique from the rest of the field while still maintaining some level of upside at the same time. So I want to reiterate, we're doing this because of the tournament aspect, not because I'd rather have Cooper Kupp over Garrett Wilson or Davante Adams. Now, Wama Jama coming out says 12-team full BBR where we have 2 wide receivers, a flex. Fields, CMC, Taylor, James Cook, Algier Mitchell, DJ Moore, Waddle, McLaurin, Nico Collins, Burks. A couple tight ends is exactly what I want from our wide receiver room in terms of the amount of guys that we are rostering in comparison to running back upside on a team that has Taylor. Great squad. Love the construction. Frankie says 10-team at PBR. We have Burrow, Chase, Keenan, Etienne, Mixon, Hall, Ingram. And then on the bench, Elijah Mitchell, Odell Beckham Jr., Jahan Dotson, and Treylon Burks. Love the Burrow Chase stack. I like that we're making just a massive bet by also adding in Mixon with this team for just that one offense. Breece Hall is going to struggle early on in the year, so that is a little frustrating. I mean, hell, Breece Hall's in your flex. I think we're in a great spot. Take Breece Hall out, put Jahan Dotson in with no McLaurin, and then hopefully, I mean, by the time McLaurin comes back, Breece Hall is breaking out in that offense. Gal says, what's up, Mason? Tyreek folded me at 11 in a redraft last weekend in a single quarterback league. Oh, beautiful, my man. I'm jealous. Oliver says, 8-team league, trade Judy Deontay and Pierce for Smith. What I want you to do is I want to add on the other players that you'd be looking at picking up off the waiver wire to the other side of that deal and see how it looks, you know? So look at the best 2 options on the waiver wire and then add them to the other side of the trade and ask yourself again. Because the thing is, it looks like you're way overpaying, but in an 8-team league, there are going to be such good options on the waiver wire. Kevin says 12-team PBR double flex. We have Cousins, Richardson, Stevenson, White, JT, Gibson, Devon A-Chain, wide receiver, Chase, Waddle, Deontay, Dotson. Tight end, we have Friday McDulch. I'm fine rostering 2 quarterbacks if these are our guys. I'm fine rostering 2 tight ends if these are our guys. We're elite at wide receiver. We have strong, high upside running backs as well. We just got to get by until Jonathan Taylor comes back. Now, work for what you want. Long time. Remember the flock coming out says 12-team at PBR 1 flex. Just finished my draft. We have Allen, Mixon, Montgomery, Tyreek, Keenan, Hawkinson, and Dalvin. On the bench, we have Sky Moore, Zay Flowers, Jalen Warren, Damian Harris, Devon A-Chain, Gus, and Zamir White. What are your thoughts? 12-team league. We have an elite receiver. We have an elite running back. We have an elite quarterback. We have a great tight end. We're well balanced where we're happy about our RB2 and wide receiver 2. We're primarily focusing on upside at wide receiver and running back down there on the bench. Love the team. Trying to come up with any way to improve it. I don't know. If we get an opportunity, like if Sky Moore has a big Thursday night game, we can sell like Sky Moore for like Gabe Davis to get the Allen stack. I think that could be appealing. Now, Sai says 10-team PBR 1 flex, where we have Lamar, CMC, Chubb, Ridley, Williams, Andrews, Pittman. And then on the bench, Taylor, Pitts, Addison, Gibson, Zach. Should I trade for a strong wide receiver? Hell no. We got Ridley, Williams, and Pittman. I think we stand still and then see what those guys give us at the beginning of the season, right? The issue is you're going to have a very difficult time going through making a trade like that whenever we're sitting with Jonathan Taylor. So it's not like we have a lot of depth, right? If Jonathan Taylor is our current RB, then like really what move are we supposed to make? Ramondre off the board. We're going to go ahead. We will take Travis Etienne. I think Etienne's just the best player on the board. You're going to keep it that simple. And this does put us in a spot where we have a little more flexibility through the rest of this draft. Joe Mixon goes 36. Where do you expect naturally Keenan Allen to go? Probably going to make another unique selection here at pick 38, especially if we want to stay flexible. Christian Watson off the board. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to reach on Najee Harris. If you look at the ADP of these guys, they both typically go in the middle of round 4. So the amount of teams that are going to have Etienne and Najee Harris on the same squad, especially A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp on the same squad, I think that this could be a potentially completely unique start in Best Ball Mania overall, or pretty damn close. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Eduardo, who says, team is Mahomes, James Cook, Madison, Chase, Wilson, Ridley, Andrews. And then on the bench, we have Pacheco, Sutton, Odell, Collins, Moore, JSN, Gainwell. Have a trade offer to get Mahomes and get back Rodgers and Lamb. Oh, that's interesting, my man. We definitely don't need it. I'd rather have Lamb over Mahomes straight up. I think we do it. Drop Nico Collins. Potentially try to make a 2-for-1 deal elsewhere to open up another raw spot and pick up another QB and play the matchups with Rodgers and someone else. But if we can trade Mahomes for Lamb and another quarterback that we're okay with, you probably have to. Eddie coming out says 12-team full BBR 3 wide receivers where we have Tua, Pierce, Sanders, Diggs, Amon-Ra, Higgins, and Njoku. And in the flex, Juju or Zay Flowers. Should I trade St. Brown for Barkley? If it's a league where you start 3 wide receivers every single week, I'd be a little bit more hesitant. But I'm fine with it. I mean, Saquon Barkley and Amon-Ra St. Brown are right there in the same tier for me in my overall rankings. Deep coming out says 12-team PBR 3 wide receivers where we have Richardson, Jones, Ramondre, Dobbins, White, Brian Robinson, Elijah Mitchell, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, Gabe Davis, Nico Collins, Dallas Goedert. Any moves? I think we already looked at this team, but no, I mean, I like the Richardson, Daniel Jones combo. I like the running backs with upside. We have a tight end we can start every week regardless of matchup. We have great wide receivers, not rostering wide receivers with low ceilings down on the bench. Love it. Bert coming out says 10-team at PBR. Quarterback, we have Allen and Lawrence. Definitely going to be looking to sell Lawrence. Running back, we have Walker, Pierce, Kamara, Jamal, Dion. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, St. Brown, Watson, Hollywood, Burks. Tight end, we have Ingram, Kincaid, double flex. What are your recommendations? Yeah, I think that you just generally have to go through and sell Trevor Lawrence in a package with another one of these running backs, such as like either Alvin Kamara or Jamal Williams to go get an upgrade at running back for the long term. I mean, the issue is you're starting Allen every single week, regardless of matchup. Now, Othman says, hey, Mason, thoughts on a 12-team PBR league with 1 flex where we have Hurts, Jacobs, Monster, Deontay, Christian Watson, Ayuk, Kelsey, Dotson, Charbonnet, Alan Lazard, Alvin Kamara, Michael Gallup, and DJ Chark. 1 flex league, love having Hurts and Kelsey, love focusing on the running backs and wide receivers with upside down there on the bench. I would rather probably have a running back than DJ Chark, specifically when we're looking at wide receivers at the top end like Deontay, Christian Watson, Brandon Ayuk, John Dotson that we're going to be fine with and never really look down far enough for someone like DJ Chark. I feel like Gallup's our last wide receiver on the roster. Upside play. Drop Chark, pick another running back. That way, if Raheem Mostert situation changes for the worse, we still have a running back that we can go to, hopefully. Trap coming out says 10-person PBR auction dynasty where we have Herbert, Walker, Henry, Garrett Wilson, Higgins, Darren Waller, Aaron Jones, Rashad White, Sky Moore, Zay Flowers. We're still drafting. Hopefully we have some money left over, my man, but that's a great team. I feel like we're very well balanced to win this year while still maintaining a lot of long-term value at the same time. It's like the perfect spot to be in going into the season in Dynasty. Okay, so let's move this around. So generally, we already got our ADP value and our unique start by going ahead and taking Cooper Kupp where we did at 14 to pair up with A.J. Brown. At that point, I don't necessarily think we want to go ahead and look to take Jonathan Taylor just because we're already going to be down and out when it comes to, production at the beginning of the season. So if we didn't take Kupp, I think Taylor would be in play at the 5-6 turn. Specifically with the tournament aspect, right? Ben says I traded Adams and Hurts for Fields and Diggs. I hate this. I have Jefferson and Diggs, my 1 and 2. Am I dumb? Yes. I think Jalen Hurts outscores literally everybody else in fantasy football. I don't like that deal, my man. Jimmy goes Jerry Jeudy there. 5 wide receivers out the gate. Okay, KT Sailor out here. What are you doing here, my friend? Goes James Cook. And then we're going to take Chris Godwin. We got a plan here, ladies and gentlemen. Going to go Godwin 59. Do we just get the guaranteed production early on, or do we take a swing? No, we'll call an audible. We'll go ahead and we'll take Tyler Lockett. My plan was possibly to go Godwin and Evans, make a consolidated bet on the Bucs offense, but no. Vlog is going to make us around 6. We'll just go ahead and pull the trigger on him. Okay. Now, Rizzo coming out says 12-team app PBR. We have Allen at quarterback. We have Watson, Metcalf, Pollard, Henry, Godwin, Higbee, JT, White, Charbonnet, and Sky Moore. Great team. I think if Higbee's our tight end 1, we could roster 2 tight ends, but maybe we actually have to wait until we get JT back. But we have Henry and Pollard. We're in a great spot if JT's our RB3. Murat coming out says 16-team app PBR format. We have Richardson, Chubb, Kupp in the second. Najee, Dobbins, Dotson, and Schultz. What are your thoughts? I have Tony and Elijah Moore, respect to grind. Thank you so much. I mean, I'll say generally in a 16-team draft, it's going to be so hard to find that depth that, not being weak at really any position is such a nice spot. Like if that was like a 10-team league, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like who really cares, But 16-team format, this is a great team. And if Kupp is actually somehow okay this next year, that's how you beat the other 15 owners. Lorenzo says, hey, Mason, do you start week 1, Deshaun Watson or Jared Goff? If you want to have fun, you go Jared Goff so you can watch him against the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday night. If you probably want to make the better call, you go to Deshaun Watson. Scott says, wide receiver upgrades or suggestions on the team where we have Lamar, Bijan, Jacobs, Mixon, Elijah. I honestly don't think so, my man. We have Keenan, Amari, Judy, Pickens, Lazard. The thing is, we're going to have to wait till Judy comes back before we can make a 2-for-1 deal in general. Once that does happen, if you want to see if we can pack together like Jalen Warren and Jerry Judy, go get a wide receiver upgrade on that front, then sure. But no, I think you have a well-constructed roster, and I don't necessarily think that we need to be going ahead and doing anything at wide receiver for now. And Andy says, hey, Mason, good to see you. Just did my draft. Got Hurts, Bijan, Chubb. Oh, how the hell does that even happen? Amon saying, okay, yeah, this is ridiculous. Amari, it looks like you drafted in like a 6-person league, my man. If it was a 6-person league, okay, team. 10 or more teams, freaking nuts. DB says 12-team PBR 1 flex. We have Allen, Diggs, Lockett, Jacobs, Dobbins, and Njoku, Moore. On the bench, Charbonnet, Musgrave, Gabe Davis, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, and Davis. Hopefully that's not Corey Davis. We already said Gabe Davis, but I like that we're making the consolidated bet on the Buffalo Bills offense over Josh Allen and his pass catchers. I'm fine rostering his second tight end if David Njoku is our first guy and our second guy is Luke Musgrave. I like the running backs that we have at the very top. I think it's a great team. Tears of Gypsy says 10-team non-PBR 5th pick starters, Herbert, Etienne, Walker, Chase, Brown, Komet, and Stevenson. I actually like the team, but I would look to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown in a non-PPR format. like with Amon-Ra St. Brown in particular, that's going to be a wide receiver that you really like his target volume, and you really like the fact that he can go out there and rack up receptions. I think there's an outside chance that Amon-Ra St. Brown actually leads the NFL in receptions this next season. But in terms of him going out there and having a ton of receiving touchdown upside, with him having, big play potential, that's still yet to be seen. He's going to be that wide receiver that is operating a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. Kind of similar to what we had with like prime Jarvis Landry back in the day, where, the man can lead the NFL in receptions, but you still probably aren't too excited about him in a non-PPR format. But Night Vaughn coming out says 12-team, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, and a flex. We have Mahomes, Mixon, Pacheco, Jefferson, Lockett, Sutton, Andrews, Montgomery. Zay on the bench for the Sutton swap. Pick third. How did we do? We went Jefferson at pick 3, which I have no idea how the hell we got him. Mahomes there at the 2-3 turn makes a lot of sense. We went with Mixon, Andrews immediately after. I love the team in a league where we only have 1 flex, but 3 starting wide receivers. I do think that wide receiver depth is going to matter a little bit more here. So I think that unlike some of the other 10-team leagues with only 1 flex, where we've been telling people to just go through and drop essentially any depth they have at wide receiver, this kind of format, I think, can keep those depth wide receivers on your bench. Now, Steve Andrews says, just drafted. Can you please hype me up because I'm feeling meh? It's a 12-team PPR Superflex tight end premium. We have Allen and Dak, so we're elite at quarterback. We have great running backs with Bijan, Dalvin, Jamal, Elijah Mitchell, and Jalen Warren. Wide receiver, we're okay. We're not crushing it, but we're not behind the 8 ball. We had DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Godwin, Judy, Romeo Doubs. Tight end, we're great with TJ Hawkinson, especially in a tight end premium format. So yeah, I love the team overall. I think that if you're looking at the elite level quarterbacks, the great running backs at the very top end, a great tight end in a tight end premium format, we kind of just have to accept the fact that we're not going to have the best wide receivers, right? You can't be the best at every single position through the entire draft. If it's a super flex tight end premium format, I think that wide receiver is kind of where we'd be fine going through and most likely transitioning away from... I'm sorry, I lost track. I think we're fine not having great wide receivers, right? I think we're fine instead going through and trying to optimize for elite level quarterbacks while at the same time getting someone that we're very excited about. Sorry, we're too much is going on, my man. I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm breaking down mentally. All right, we're going on how many live hours in a row? We've streamed for about 6.5 hours today, not including all the podcasts we've made for flogfantasy.com and the videos. Oh, your boy can do this without breaking a sweat during the season. But right now, this is getting tough. It's getting tough. Great team. Wide receivers aren't great, but they don't have to be whenever you're looking so strong everywhere else. Okay, we're going to go Kamara 83. Swift goes 85. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done so already, for your boy live streaming for 6.5 hours today, and every single day for 130 days in a row, whatever the hell it is at this point, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to go out there and get into our next draft with us, whether that's today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, now is the best time to get on Underdog. It's best balls, so no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted 700 teams, won $150,000 on Underdog last season. And if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flogfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And now is the best time to get on Underdog because they have the exclusive Patrick Mahomes pick'em Thursday night against the Lions, more than less than half a total yard. If you are new to Underdog, you also get a mystery pick'em week 1 on top of that. And only with promo code FLOG are you also going to get the exclusive Josh Allen pick'em week 1, more than less than half a passing yard against the New York Jets. I've never seen Underdog do 2 pick'ems in the same week, let alone 3 special pick'ems at the same time. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. Only going to get all 3 with promo code FLOCK. But let's move this over. And Brian says, love your stance behind building unique best ball teams. How will your YouTube content shift as we finish Best Ball Mania drafts for the season? Any other channels to follow? I mean, one channel, you can see all the channels. I mean, go to flockfantasy.com. You can see everybody that is on our site with us. One channel that's been absolutely crushing it on flockfantasy.com as of late has been the Fantasy Stock Exchange with Corey, specifically going out there. I mean, I believe he made the best video of all time on fantasy football YouTube. I think he has more views than anything else. So that's definitely something I'd recommend. And as we get to the season, it's going to be a lot of week-to-week redraft content, my man. So it's going to be a lot of, here are my rankings for week 1. Here are my rankings for week 2. Here are the waiver wire pickups that you want this week. Here's some buy low candidates. Here's some sell high. Lager says 12-team PPR draft tomorrow. What round for JT? I'd say generally probably round 6, 7, 8, right? I mean, in these underdog best ball drafts, they can go a little bit earlier, but probably 6, 7, 8 based on the values I'm seeing elsewhere. Brandon says 12-team PPR, grade the team. We have Herbert, Pollard, Mixon, Hill, Garrett Wilson, London, James Cook, Devontae Adams, Quentin Johnson, Flowers, Sky, Pirine, Kincaid, Juwan. I'm fine with both those tight ends. We have an elite level quarterback. We have great wide receivers. We just need to and great running backs. How do you get like Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, and Tony Pollard on the same team? Like, how does that even happen? Sean says, I did that trade Hurts and Deontay for Watson and Wilson. Okay. Wishing you the best of luck, my man. Like I said, really close. Now, Max coming out says, Yo, Mason, my league mate is telling me I'm dumb for not doing a Patrick Mahomes and Amon-Ra St. Brown for Jalen Hurts and Jamar Chase trade. And he is saying Chase is not a top 5 wide receiver. Well, tell him then, if he's not a top wide receiver, why do you want him? That's why, like, if anybody ever goes through and, like, tries to make a deal with you and says, like, oh, you should make this trade because your guy's not good, just hit him with, then why do you want him? I like him more than you do, so there's no reason in trying to trade for him. You know? It's like an easy way to shut that conversation down. You would definitely want to go ahead and you want to take Jamar Chase there. Now, Shimio says, Mason, what do you think I should do with Kupp? Should I trade and keep him? If you could trade him for Garrett Wilson or Amon-Ra St. Brown, you trade him. If it's like your best offer is Olave or Waddle, you keep him. RJ says 10-team PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 running back, 1 flex. We have Mahomes, Kelsey, love it. Gibbs, Akers, White, Brian Robinson, Khalil Herbert, Penny, Higgins, Godwin, Pickens, Gabe Davis, Mooney. A great team. Phenomenal team. No moves to make. Love the roster how we're constructed down there on the bench. We have the elite level quarterback, the elite level tight end stacked up with Mahomes and Kelsey. So we are being able to focus in on that running back wide receiver upside down on the bench in particular. Love the spot that you're in, my man. Okay, Dak goes 102. Gibson off 103. Fed says 10-team PBR pick 8, 1 flex. We have Fields, Rodgers at quarterback. Running back, we have Etienne, Akers, JT, McKinnon. Wide receiver, we have Diggs, Wilson, Ridley, Lockett, Johnson, Tony. Tight end, we have Kittle and Dallas Goedert. I mean, especially if JT is going to be missing the beginning of the season, I think it makes a lot of sense for us to trade Dallas Goedert for a running back. Whether you want to trade him straight up for a running back depth piece, that way we have a running back 3 we can confidently start on a week-to-week perspective, or if you wanted to go through and trade Dallas Goedert and instead go and package him with Cam Akers to get a running back upgrade that way. I mean, 1 flex, 10-team league is definitely going to be something we're looking to do. Okay. Now, Bigsby off 105. It's a team that their first running back was JT. Sob Napkin says 12-team at PBR, double flex, picked at 11. Chubb, Henry, Metcalf, Lawrence, Watson, Deontay, Waller, Brian Robinson. Got Judy in the 9th. How do we do? Love the value on Judy. Love going Chubb, Henry out the gate if it's a half PBR format and still getting the wide receiver values. It would have been nice to have Lawrence stacked up with Ridley. Like if we could trade like Metcalf for Calvin Ridley to stack with Lawrence, I'd like that. Richardson goes. I think we're going to go ahead and take Pat Freiermuth. So the interesting spot that we find ourselves in, right? When you start off 4 running backs and 4 wide receivers out the gate, is you typically are putting yourself up in a position where you possibly have to take, say, 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. So by going ahead and taking Pat Freiermuth here, depending on the other tight end that we get, we may only have to take 2, and we may be in a position where we can take 3 quarterbacks comfortably. But Jonathan says 10-team PBR format. Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, Etienne, Gibbs, Watson, Daniel Jones, and Njoku. On the bench, we have Pickens, Jamal, Pickett, and Breece Hall. Is there a quarterback 1? Daniel Jones. Okay, I'm fine having Daniel Jones and Kenny Pickett on the same squad. If we're not starting Jamal Williams, I think we go ahead and we try to find the JT team, try to find the Alvin Kamara team. Be like, hey, man, I'll trade you Jamal Williams in a package to go get an upgrade elsewhere. Because, I mean, this is like going to be the best case scenario for Jamal, right? So if we're not going to be using him this week, can't hurt to go out there and try to see if we can find someone that would be willing to trade an elite price tag for him. Because if you're not using him this week, you're never going to use him, essentially. This is like the best time that you could. Connor says, 8-team league, 1 flex. We have Herbert, Bijan, Ramondre, Waddle, Devontae Adams, Kupp, Pierce, Goddard with Brees on the bench. Looks great, but every team in an 8-team league is going to look great. I think once we get Kupp back, if we could take, one of our depth wide receivers and package him with Dallas Goedert to get an elite level tight end, I'd like it. Now, Cordell says 10-team full BBR at 5. We have Chase, Brown, Stevenson, Burrow, Madison, James Cook, Evan Ingram, Breece Hall, Hollywood, Sky Moore, Jacoby Myers, Christian Kirk, Daniel Jones. We're just rostering too many of these low upside wide receivers. Like someone like Jacoby Myers down there at the very bottom of the bench is not really going to be doing much for you. I'll be looking to move on from Jacoby Myers, see if we can find another high upside running back off the waiver wire. Now, Steven says 12-team BBR where we have Hurts, Bijan, Akers, Lamb, Deontay, Kittle, Montgomery. The bench is Moore, Thielen, Rodgers, Parker, Zach Ertz, Damian Harris, Chase Claypool. Drop Chase Claypool, literally no reason to roster him. Go ahead, drop Zach Ertz as well. Zach Ertz looks like he's not even going to be playing at the beginning of the year. Love the team in the starting lineup. It's just these bench options are disgusting. I would even drop Rodgers if we had Jalen Hurts. We're going to start Hurts every single week. My man, you can find some better high upside running back options than Adam Thielen, Devontae Parker, Zach Ertz, Aaron Rodgers, Chase Claypool. Especially like Chase Claypool, Adam Thielen, get these, and Zach Ertz, get these bombs off the roster. Go pick up some running backs off the waiver wire. Okay, Scott says you're doing great. Thanks for the help. No, thank you, my man. Spree Dog says 14-team at PBR where we start 1 flex. We have Jefferson, Hurts, Etienne, Hawkinson. Oh, great team in a 14-team format. James Cook, Pickens, Dotson on the bench. Pierce, Bigsby, Elijah Moore, Marvin Mims, Van, Roshan Boyd. Killed it. Crushing it, my man. I don't think we change anything there. Solid squad. Tilted Hippo says, rate the 10-team league. It's a half PBR format. We have Diggs, Chubb, Lamar, Etienne, Williams, and Njoku, Sanders. And on the bench, we have Hall, London, JSN, Brian Robinson, Johnson, Harris. We're going to be waiting until we have a breakout from JSN or Quentin Johnston or maybe Breece Hall. But then at that point, once we have the breakout and we have a little bit more depth to spare, I would love to take London and David Njoku to see if we can go out there and get a tight end that we really like, or maybe even look to trade a better wide receiver with David Njoku to see if we can get someone like Mark Andrews. But we're going to have to wait until we get some of those guys breaking out. Joshua says, would you prefer the Smith-Hurts tag of the 2-3 turn or grabbing Ridley, Olave, Jacobs plus Hurts instead? I would rather have one of those other wide receivers. They're a tier ahead of Smith. I'd rather have Olave and Hurts, or I'd rather have Jacobs and Hurts. I'm sold on Hurts, but not sure to take with him. Yeah, I think you go ahead and you take either Olave or Josh Jacobs, depending on if I'd go Jacobs. Margo says, 10-team full BBR, 1 flex. We have Allen, Ridley, Hopkins, Bijan, Saquon, Kincaid, Hall, Javonte, Watson, Madison, Judy, Dylan. Appreciate you. No, thank you so much, my friend. And I'm sorry, let me swing this back around. Figure out who we're going to be taking here. Just 1 second. Okay, we're going to get Geno. We get lucky to get Geno Smith making it back to us. But 1 flex league, I think you're in a very comfortable position. I don't want to start Kincaid at the beginning of the season. If we could go through and pick up another tight end to potentially, fill in for Kincaid if he's not going to produce early on, I'd like that. But the issue is we don't really have anybody to cut. So if we could pack together like Hopkins and say Alexander Madison, get back in either an elite level like running back or wide receiver, open up a raw spot, pick up another tight end, play next to Kincaid. I think that would make sense, even if we have Kincaid stacked up with Allen. Now, next question coming out from Peter says, Best Ball Mania, where we have Fields, Purdy, Russ, Etienne, Pierce, Dobbins, Jamal. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we only 4 running backs? Wide receiver, Diggs, Wilson, Sutton, Juju, Lazard. Tight end, Njoku, Higbee. Rate the team, please. I like the team at the very top end. Just make sure that we have the right roster construction here in particular. I really hope that we went through and I really hope that we drafted 5 running backs. I hope that we honestly considered probably not 3 tight ends if we took 3 quarterbacks. We definitely wanted 5 running backs with this team, though. I like the guys at the top, but if we only took 4 RBs, I think you're kind of toast. Okay. John says 12-team PPR, where we have Hurts, Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Hall, Walker, Hall again, Kittle, and then on the bench we have in JSN, Charbonnet, Tony, Penny, Foreman, Richardson. So, we're fine having Richardson if the goal is ultimately to sell him high, of course. I like Foreman, Penny down there on the bench. At the end of the day, you will get clarity on these guys early on in the season. which you do like to see. That way we can make waiver wire moves if they're not working out. I like Tony now. He's playing week 1. Great team. Just the plan has to be you sell Anthony Richardson when he goes out there and shows anything. But ladies and gentlemen, we are all through the questions. Okay, no more questions, please. Okay. We've been live for, I believe, 6.5 hours today. I have so many podcasts I need to make on flockfantasy.com. So I'm going to cut this live stream here. I will be live tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. I'll be live every single day until 2024. We've already been live for like 130 days in a row. So make sure if you're not already, you subscribe to the channel, you drop a like on this live stream. And if you want to join a draft with us tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, or if you want to go check out any of these special pick'ems that Underdog has week 1, Patrick Mahomes more than less than half a total yard against the Lions, or the exclusive Flock special pick'em, more than less than half a passing yard Josh Allen against the Jets. And if you're new to Underdog, you also get a new mystery special pick'em on top of that. 3 special pick'ems the same week. I've never seen anything like it. You can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, description section, comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match up to $100. Plus, you get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide and have some fun, get into some drafts with us, and make sure you go take advantage of those special pick'ems because I don't know if y'all are ever going to get something like that again. But thank you again. I really appreciate y'all, and I really hope I get to see you with the live stream tomorrow night.